of all, the American people, if they would just take a little inventory and look around, you triple our troubles, and we're better off than any other people on earth. And we've asked so much of government, and we've gotten in the habit over the last 40 years of thinking that government has the answers. There's very little that government can do as efficiently and as economically as the people can do themselves. And if government would shut the doors and sneak away for about 3 weeks, we'd never miss them. Now, if the people want to
Anybody you had in mind particularly?
No, I said this while I was in government.
Okay.
Our biggest problem is that we have built a permanent structure of government, federal, state, and local, the permanent employees, and they've come to the place that they actually determine policy in this country more than does the Congress of the United States. Mm-hmm. There are 14.5 million public employees in the United States. That's quite a voting bloc. And the bureaus and agencies, now in Washington, I heard you talking earlier about some of the research programs. Mm-hmm. Well, there was a senator the other day, and he took up some pages of the congressional record. He was doing the same thing you were, listing all these crazy research programs and how much they were costing, and wound up his speech by introducing his own. He wants a study and a research of transcendental meditation.
So,
you know, there's a state senator in Michigan, and he just found out the other day they got a $93,000 study on whether chitlins are bad for you. And he said that as a fourth-generation chitlin eater, he figured that he could tell you how for 93 cents you could find out the answer to that.
No, we laugh at those things, but they do happen, I guess.
Oh, listen, you had some beauties and there's some others. What would you say if I told you about a study in which this was called the demography of happiness? And in this study, the government found out that young people are happier than old people. And they found out that people that earn more are happier than people that earn less. And they found out that well people are happier than sick people.
That's good. Well, that's glad
this
to
was
know
$249,000 to find out it's better to be rich, young, and healthy than old, poor, and sick.
So when you say now that it's that the government may be the problem, so what do people do? They have to look to somebody, and you say if they look for themselves, that's it may be good advice. But how about somebody who's on a Social Security pension or a pension trying to live on $150 a month? You know, they have to look to somebody, I guess.
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, we can't make it. We can't afford to go to a doctor.
Well, 62% of the people can't stay home in an election and cure things, as we did in the last election.
I just read this week on the radio. They dropped 300,000 voters from the Los Angeles roll because they didn't take the time to go to the polls in the last election. 300,000 people.
It was the lowest percentage in history. Only 38% of the people voted in the national election. And this means that people aren't paying any attention to what... Well, here, a poll was taken recently that found out that only 46% of the people in the poll could name their United States congressman. But what was worse, 86% of those who could name him couldn't tell you a single thing that he represented or stood for.
They just knew that he represented the state. But
he was a congressman, but what's he doing while he's up there? And the same is true at the local levels of government and all the rest. But
so you're saying people really have to take an active interest, and you have to have citizen action groups locally and
let them know.
See,
the special interest groups. Now, the special interest groups aren't, as everyone thought, big, powerful business interests or something that are going to persuade government to do things. As a matter of fact, I don't know anyone with less influence today in government than business. They're just a convenient whipping boy. But it's the groups that have got a particular axe to grind. You can't have a power plant because it might interfere with the seagulls. Now, I think I'm an environmentalist. And I do not agree with those people way over on the edge who pave the whole country over in the name of progress. But also, I don't like those on the other extreme that won't let you build a house unless it looks like a bird's nest. Someplace in the middle, we got to allow people our ecology too.
Right.
Well, this kind of group, and they want their particular program. Hundreds of dollars have been added to the cost of an automobile, putting gadgets on it to clear up the air. We're the only country in the world that's set out to do it that way. The automobile industry, over and over again, told government if they give them more time, the answer lay in making the motor more efficient and making it burn the fuel better. And when they were given the limited time, there was only one thing they could turn to. That was the add-ons that you had to go.
And the verdict is really kind of still out on on those,
on
whether they're going to add
doing
more
any good.
sulfuric acid to the air or not.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen? Now, you've been asked this question. I'm sure you knew that I might possibly bring it up tonight. There's an election coming up. You're out of politics now, but you're speaking, and as I say, you're going around the country. Do you envision a possibility, say in '76, if the convention, say, was deadlocked? I'm giving you all the theories and so forth, and the conservatives took over possibly and got control of the electoral process, and they couldn't quite make a decision, and they came to you and said, Governor Reagan, we can't decide between Mr. Ford, Mr. Rockefeller. We're divided. Would you like to go to the White House?
You remember that answer I gave you about the CIA?
Yeah. Oh, come on. No, I won't buy it. I'm not going to buy it. No, I can understand the CIA now, but
No,
I thought that was delicately phrased.
Yes, verbose but delicate.
Yeah, verbose but delicate.
No, I think it's an unanswerable question. I don't think anyone, in view of the things that have gone on the last few years, knows what's going to happen in the next 2 years down the road. I think that everyone should hope and pray that people are there will do the job so well that there won't be any question about it. Because if they do, then everything's all right with the rest of us.
You think they're doing their job well?
Well, I agree with some things and disagree with others. When they give me a choice between a $53 billion deficit in the budget and an $80 billion deficit, when budget deficits are what's causing inflation, I don't see that there's any room to be on either side of that argument.
Yeah,
I think the answer to curing inflation is a balanced budget.
Now, how do you do that? I mean, how do you balance the budget?
Well, balancing the budget is like protecting
You don't
your
spend more than you take in, right?
It's like protecting your virtue. You have to learn to say no.
There's got to be another way. What's the second option?
Well, no, there's some ways that this could be brought about. First of all, that limitation. Here's another one. Why shouldn't we have, in addition to a simplified income tax, why shouldn't we also have a law that says that any time a legislator or a congressman introduces a spending program, he has to introduce with it a tax program to pay for it? Then let the people find out. There was a woman that, from a financial firm that was back at the President's Economic Council, and her words weren't quoted. Everybody else's words got in the paper, all the Hellers and the Galbraiths and all the so-called economists. And I have a degree in economics, so I can say this. I think an economist is someone who has a Phi Beta Kappa key on one end of his watch chain and no watch on the other. This woman said that you go to the polls and you ask the people, do they want some social service, some program that government can give? And the people in the polls are apt to read and say, hey, that sounds good, yeah. Mm-hmm. But she says that isn't exactly accurate. She says put a $100 bill in each person's hand, and then show them the program and say, now, isn't that a nice program? Do you want it? Give me the $100. And she says, see what the poll says then, and how many people hang on to the $100 instead of the program.
In other words, if it's rather hidden and someone doesn't know exactly where it's going to come from.
All the government programs start $1 down and we'll catch you later. And they multiply all of those things that you were... The Office of Management and Budget in Washington, that's responsible for the budget, putting the budget together, cannot even tell you how many boards, commissions, agencies, bureaus, and departments there are in the federal government. Yeah. But all of them can pass regulations, and those regulations have the force of law. And the difference is, when you break the law, you're innocent until proven guilty. When you break a regulation, the fellow that charges you with breaking the regulation, you're guilty. Right. And if you want to take him to court and prove you're innocent, that's up to you. Right. And all of these are things that yes, we can trim the budget. There's enough fat in the federal government that if you rendered it, you could wash the world.
They took a poll of the American people the past week, and I think 78% or something, around 75% were opposed to more military aid to Vietnam and Cambodia and Southeast Asia in general. And yet the administration was trying to tell the American people that a couple $100 million or $222 million would make some kind of difference, or that the government might make it. And how do you feel? Do you think that that is a lost cause in a way? I think people can see humanitarian, for children, hospitals, et cetera, medical supplies and food. But it seems that the public has just almost had it up with military involvement, where we feel we are not directly threatened.
Well, we are fed up. We're war weary after a long and badly fought war. On the other hand, and this is one where I'll probably lose a lot of people because it isn't popular or political to say this today. When we withdrew our troops, we made a ceasefire, a peace agreement. And it was based on supporting the non-communist forces in Indochina on a basis of one-for-one replacement. Every bullet they expended a bullet to replace it if the communists violated the ceasefire. Mm-hmm. The communists have violated the ceasefire 72,000 times since it was instituted and we brought our men home. And I think for the United States to break its word, we're in that agreement. We pledged something, and the Congress is now saying that the United States reserves the right to just break its word and not, what are their allies ever going to trust us? And there's no question that backed by Red China and the Soviet Union, the communist forces in Vietnam and Cambodia are on their way to take those over. They do, of course. Laos just automatically falls. Mm-hmm. Then they're on the edge of Indonesia, 140 million people, which comes within 14 miles at its nearest point of the Philippines. The domino theory is in existence. Is that
still a viable theory, you think?
And yes, it is. And I could see the United States one day being very, very lonely. Now, it's a very funny thing that the same forces that want to cut our defense spending are the same ones that want to increase all these social services and this social tinkering and experimenting that hasn't worked. And every time it doesn't work, they just impose a more expensive program on top of it. I think the American people, if they really look at all the facts, yes, we want fiscal responsibility. But I think we also want a country that is strong enough at all times that we can say to any adventurous guys over there on the other side of the water, you better look twice, brother, before you start getting rough. That we can take care of ourselves.
As you said, before you made the statement, that would probably get mixed reaction from an
audience. And I
can
understand that. People aren't. And it's hard to understand how maybe your interest is involved 10,000 miles away. But Russia seems concerned that their interests extend all the way to Cuba and to South America, to Chile and to other countries of that kind. And they're the ones that have said they're going to impose their way of life on the rest of the world. We haven't said we want to do it to the rest of the world, our way.
Let me ask you one more question before you go. Let us assume that there's a third party, that neither party seems to go.
Yeah.
You like this approach already, huh? And they're thrown into disarray, as they say, and a third party is formed. Do you think that'll ever happen in this country, where a third party will be a major type of alternate to what we have?
Well, I'd still prefer to see a revitalization of the two major parties we have, because the two-party system has served us very well. Third parties have a notorious way of not being successful. Now, the Republican Party, some people say, well, that was a third party 100 years ago when it started. It actually wasn't. It was a second party. The Whig Party had shrunk and shrunk, and then the remainder of the Whig Party said to two other groups that had formed parties, hey, want to get together with us? They changed their name and called themselves the other party. And so it was, in effect, the Whigs just disappeared. It was a new second party. Maybe this is time. Maybe it's time for realignment between people who might find themselves in the wrong parties. Maybe there are some people still voting. I was a Democrat most of my life. I became a Republican only not too many years ago. And I had the pleasure of telling some of those people that are saying the Republican Party ought to broaden its base the other day that when I switched parties, I didn't do it because the two parties were alike. I did it because they were different. And I think that the two parties ought to stand up as to what they represent, what they stand for. A third party, they have a way of electing the wrong people because they simply divide themselves from the other forces that feel the same way, and then the other fella sneaks in. And it could happen that neither party would represent what the people want, and finally the people would take some action, do something about it. But I'd rather devote our effort to seeing if we can't find out what the present two parties stand for and which one we want to.
But you don't see yourself, or do you see yourself as maybe as a part of that, active politically again? I certainly don't give up, do I?
Yeah, you sure don't. I wish I could think of a good get-off line.
I have Lawrence Spivak's old questions, you know, for this.
Nancy, you know, said to say hello tonight. She thought it was great that we're both in town at the same time.
You too, huh? I get that. Thanks for being with us tonight, really. It was a pleasure to see you again, my best.
What's your view in terms of what should happen nationwide when it comes to redistricting?
Well, first of all, in California, it's a big mistake to go and to dismantle and to basically kind of get rid of the independent redistricting commission under the auspices of we got to have more power than the Republicans. And we got to fight Trump. Because, yes, they are fixing the elections in Texas. But that does not mean that California should fix the elections because of that. Two wrongs don't make a right. It's that simple. And whenever the politicians say that we're only doing this temporarily with the redistricting commission, with the independent one, there's no such thing with politicians and temporarily. Have you ever seen a tax that stopped? When they say this is just temporary, it is permanent. I'm for the power of the people, not the parties, and therefore I say vote no on Proposition 50.
Because when I talked to Governor Newsom about this and about your conversation with him about this, he told me that he said to you, if we are not successful that there will be no more independent redistricting, the whole thing's over. He has no faith in President Trump in order to do fair elections if Republicans have all control, and he says that it is temporary. Do you don't buy what Governor Newsom's saying?
Of course not. Look, I've sat there in Sacramento. I've listened to the politicians for 7 years. They are not interested in giving any power to the people. The only interest that they have is to take power away from the people and grab it themselves. So this gives them a great opportunity by saying, oh, we have to fight Trump. Let's go and get rid of our democratic principles. Imagine to fight for democracy and to get rid of your democratic principles. It doesn't make any sense. And plus, we have so many homeless people in California. And there they cannot do anything about it. But they're spending $200 million on a special election. I would rather give this money to the homeless people that really need it rather than to the politicians. Let's give the money to the people rather than the politicians. This is what this is all about. That's why I'm against Proposition 50. That's why I always will say nothing against Newsom. We don't have a fight over this at all.
Yeah, because you guys met. What was that like when you
It was a
met
wonderful
together?
meeting. He told me what he felt. I told him, I said, I totally get it. Because this is what you need to do to be the leader of the party. I totally get it, but I'm not a party person, I said. I'm a people's person.
Are you going to be campaigning anymore? What's your role? Are you going to be doing interviews, going around the state, doing rallies? What's your role in this campaign?
No, I have no plan. All I wanted to do really is to come out and to say to the people, hold it. Before you go and vote, you should know this is a scam. And vote no on Proposition 50.
So potentially hundreds of millions of dollars could be spent on this fight over Prop 50, with right now Governor Newsom largely being the face of yes in ads, and former Governor Schwarzenegger largely being the face of no.
Hello, welcome. Vote no on 50. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you. Oh no, it's go away. I think he did give out some valuable information. preserve democracy. That's why we have to vote no. Okay, because this redistricting is unconstitutional. Okay, let me give you one more to watch.
The politicians want their power back.
That's what they want to do, is take us backwards. This is why it is important for you to vote no on Proposition 50.
California voters established an independent commission led by citizens to stop rigged elections. Prop 50 cancels this historic reform, putting the politicians back in charge.
The Constitution does not start we the politicians, it starts with we the people.
Trust citizens, not politicians. No on 50.
Democracy. We got to protect it and we got to go and fight for it.
California voters stopped rigged elections by approving an independent redistricting commission where citizens decide, not politicians.
Prop 50 suspends this historic reform, destroying our reputation as a national leader for fair elections.
Prop 50 destroys congressional districts created by the Citizen Commission, letting politicians rig new districts for themselves, sacrificing fair elections and voter choice.
Don't let Prop 50 take us backwards. Keep California a leader for reform. Vote no on 50.
Texas is Texas. California is California. We focus on California. Look at California, the supermajority, the dictatorship in California. Okay, so I'm in California. I don't have vote in Texas. Okay, but if you guys know about Kevin Kiley, he has a bill to end all gerrymandering. And how many people are supporting him? I don't think too much of the left heart are doing that. The Democrats are not supporting him. Republicans are not supporting him, okay? But he did have a bill to end all gerrymandering, okay? So you calling hypocrite, okay? I have no choice. I only can vote in California. So Texas, I don't agree. Texas, okay? But I have no vote. I have no control. I have no voice. Look, I only have 150. Okay, I only have 150 audience. People in California focus on what's going on in our community, in our state. All the terrible bill. I've been talking about the SB 771 yesterday or 2 days ago. How the Democrat control, try to censorship, try to punish California, taking away our free speech. This is what I am caring about. Okay. So if you are a Texan, okay, you can talk to your governor, you can talk to your congresswoman, but in California, definitely we have to just vote no. Just like what Arnold said, you cannot ignore democracy, and then in the name of for democracy, those doesn't make sense. Okay. And also, because you only listen to the fake news media, if you dig in a little deeper, and you will see why are they doing this gerrymandering in Texas. But I'm not going to go through that topic today. Maybe next time, when I get enough information, then I will present it to you all. But today, for now, I'm California first. I have to protect California. And my hair looks nice. My wonderful hair. I don't have money. Anyone can super chat so I can buy Trump is right on everything. I want to get that one so I can wear it. Okay. Okay. Welcome, Germany. Welcome, Germany. Okay. Okay. Now we are facing the shutdown, and that's why at the beginning I bring up Ronald Reagan, President Reagan again about the shutdown. We are not going to miss the government. I love that word. We always look for a solution, try to find solution from government. The government never gives solution. The government only create problem. Okay, doesn't matter Republican or Democrat. Okay, but we still need them. Okay, that's why being a Republican is better than being a Democrat, because the basic principle of a Republican is small government. Okay, that's basic principle, and all the other conservative thing, you know, all those are add on. Okay. Agree. Amen. Lisa Simpson. Amen. Okay. So you against big government? Yes, I totally against big government, but I'm not for no government. Okay. The Democrats are like this. They like to mislead people. Oh, you don't like big government, so you don't want government. No. Okay. I don't want big government. I prefer small government. Okay. Okay. So the Democrats, the left, radical left or Democrats, they got to be using a better word to smear the Republicans. Oh, okay. Feed the needy and house the homeless. Yeah, feed the needy, house the homeless only when you have money. You don't even have money. How are you going to feed the needy and house the homeless? Okay. What happened is you're using other people's money to feed the needy and house the homeless. And all those Democrats are hypocrites. They have security guard protect them, and the regular average citizen don't have police to protect them. Because they defund the police. So now answer me, who is the cult? Who is the cult? Just right now, just talk. Okay? Don't type more than what I will. If I find out you are spamming, and probably I will I won't block people, but I will time you out. Okay? Well, whatever. What is a good question? I'm a good Christian. Okay? I mean to go. Those people are so, well, I let you guys speak. See, you know, on YouTube, there's a lot of left YouTuber. They require you to subscribe the channel before they let you speak. And they will remove your question when you speak. Okay? So, hey. So who is in the cult? Okay? So now let's talk about the shutdown. Is it going to be, well, we have so many, we experienced a couple shutdown already. So we little bit of a kind of get used to it. But this time, we don't want to shut down and blame. Well, the Democrat want to shut it down because we have all the funding for the police, for the National Guard, for the ICE, and the Democrat doesn't like it. Okay, they make excuse and everything. So let's watch what they say.
With more, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Mr. Speaker, you were there today in the meeting with the president. How'd it go?
It went well, Sean. By the way, thanks for playing the highlight reel tonight. Their hypocrisy is just breathtaking, and it's shameless. And it was on display in the Oval Office. Credit President Trump showing real leadership. He's operating in good faith, and that was on display by bringing the leaders in. He heard the arguments and the debates. They're baseless. I mean, Chuck Schumer is now arguing exactly the opposite of what he has always said in his career. And why? You hit the nail right on the head, Sean. He's doing it out of political desperation. He is willing to force the government to shut down just to oppose President Trump for temporary political cover for himself, and he will abandon the American people just to do that. It's really something to watch.
Are they still clinging to everything on my list? Have they given in on anything yet?
No, and I fully expected that they would come into the White House today and be reasonable, but they weren't. They dug their heels in. It's painfully obvious that he's got to watch his back because the young socialists are coming for him, AOC and the others who want to challenge him for his seat, and that is 100% what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, by extension, are watching for, their own political cover. And they will exact all this damage that we just heard them say in their own words in previous years. They are willing to do it just so they get political cover. They haven't backed off on any of those demands, Sean. You had it right. They want to take hard-earned taxpayer dollars, and they want to give new benefits to illegal aliens. We eliminated that in our big, beautiful bill. They want to bring it back. They want to prop up NPR and PBS. They want $500 million. That's their demand in their counteroffer, to prop up the Corporation for Public Broadcasting again. We're not doing that. Left-leaning media outlets don't need to be funded by taxpayers. They want to spend $1.5 trillion on a simple 7-week stopgap funding measure so our appropriators can get back to the job of just funding the government. And it's really a crazy thing to watch.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, Orwellian, because they came out and were acting somewhat optimistic, like they might get what they want. You're telling me there's no way in hell. And I think I know Donald Trump pretty well. I've known him about 30 years. There's no way in hell Donald Trump is giving in on any one of those issues. It's not going to happen.
No way. No way. And he wanted to give them a forum in the Oval Office to come in and try to be reasonable, and they weren't. They wouldn't back off on any of these crazy demands. So let me tell you something. There is zero daylight between the White House, the President of the United States, and Republicans in the Senate and the House. We are all united on this. We're going to do the right thing. Remember this, Sean. We passed the clean, simple CR out of the House 2 weeks ago. Every single Democrat in the House, except one, voted to shut the government down. I mean, they're willing to do it. They're willing to exact all this pain. And by the way, while you mentioned some of the things that will continue, defense and all that, troops don't get paid during a shutdown, okay? And very importantly, health care. They want to talk about health care. If they don't fund the government, guess what does stop? The WIC program. That's Women, Infants, and Children Nutrition Program won't be funded. We won't have FEMA funded, right? We've got hurricane season. We've got 2 off the coast of the United States right now. FEMA service is not funded. Telemedicine, mental health services, all these things that the American people need, and they won't be able to access if the Democrats go through with this. So I certainly pray they don't. They have another chance because Leader Thune's going to put the House bill on the Senate floor again tomorrow and probably again on Wednesday. And we'll see if Chuck Schumer goes along with this.
Well, as I said, 1 day, 2 hours, 47 minutes, and 5 seconds, and it's over. The government will be officially shut down, and Donald Trump will have a big say in what stays and what goes. Speaker Johnson, thank you. We appreciate your time.
Well, probably you will say, oh, it's from Fox. Oh, Fox, fake news. Okay. Let's go to CNN, the official fake news network.
Joining us now, House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican of Louisiana. Mr. Speaker, good to see you. Let's start with the shutdown talks. A few days ago, President Trump rejected even meeting with Democratic leaders, reportedly at the urging of you and the Senate Majority Leader John Thune. What changed?
Well, I had a long talk with the president yesterday, Jake, and you know, he feels the same way that I do about this. He's always open to discussion, but he wants to operate in good faith. So he decided to bring us all in. He wants to talk with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and just try to convince them to follow common sense and do what's right by the American people. Jake, it's important to point out the only thing we are trying to do is buy a little time. You know, the appropriators in both parties have been working very diligently over the last many weeks to work through the appropriations process. As you know, the law requires us to pass 12 separate appropriations bills and to be good stewards of American taxpayers' dollars. But that hasn't happened. It usually doesn't happen in Washington. Everything gets pushed to the end of the year right before Christmas, and there's a giant omnibus spending bill. Since I became Speaker, I've been trying to force back the muscle memory to force Congress to do its work, and we're doing it. Jake, I'm delighted to tell you, in a bipartisan fashion, the appropriators have worked through 12 separate appropriations bills in the House committee. 3 are passed off the floor in the House. 3 passed off the Senate floor. Those bills don't match up exactly, so there's a conference committee between 2 chambers working as they're supposed to for the first time since 2019. But here's the problem. We run out of clock, because the end of this September 30th is the end of the fiscal year. So what we did was a simple, clean, continuing resolution. It's 24 pages in length. All it does is keep the government open so appropriators can continue to do this work. Together, bipartisan, Chuck Schumer came back with a long laundry list of partisan demands that don't fit into this process, and he's going to try to shut the government down. The president wants to talk with him about that and say, please, don't do that.
So at this meeting tomorrow, is President Trump looking to make a deal, or is it going to be like when Michael Corleone met Senator Geary? My offer is this: nothing.
Well, look, we'll have to see, but I can tell you where his head and his heart are. He wants to do right by the people. He does not want the Democrats to hold up troops' pay. You know, the people who are serving in the military, they don't get paid during a shutdown. He doesn't want WIC funding, you know, women, infants, and children nutrition program being held up. He doesn't want telehealth and mental health and FEMA services to be stopped. That's what Chuck Schumer is holding hostage. Why? So that he can add $1.5 trillion in new spending at a time when we're simply just trying to keep the government going for 7 weeks so we can have those debates. It's wrong. He also wants to, by the way, what Chuck Schumer is demanding in exchange for all those good things I just listed, he wants to reinstate free health care for illegal aliens paid by American taxpayers. We are not doing that. We can't do that. That's just one of the crazy things he's requesting.
Well, I think he would take issue with that. Here is what House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries said on CNN Friday night about what he says Democrats are asking for, which is the continuing of the Obamacare subsidies being extended to American citizens only to prevent more than 1 million of those Americans joining the ranks of the uninsured. I'd like to hear your response. This is what Jeffrey said.
And all we're saying is let's find a path forward to actually fix the healthcare system that Republicans have broken for the good of everyone. They dropped this reckless partisan bill that continues to gut the healthcare of the American people, and it went down in flames. And so their bill is dead on arrival.
Is that demand for the continuing the Obamacare subsidies, is that even on the table tomorrow?
Look, that statement by my friend Hakeem is absolutely absurd. There is nothing partisan about this continuing resolution. Nothing. We didn't add a single partisan priority or policy writer at all. We're operating completely in good faith to give more time. The only thing that would gut health care, using his own phraseology there, is if we took Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer's demand here, because they want to cut $50 billion from rural hospitals. That's the new fund that we added in the big, beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cuts that we passed just a couple months ago. They want to gut that. They also want to hold up all this funding that I listed. I mean, the WIC program is something that we all champion for women, infants, and children nutrition. That would be held up. So it's exactly the opposite of what Hakeem is talking about. The Obamacare subsidies is a policy debate that has to be determined by the end of the year, December 30th, not right now, while we're simply trying to keep the government open so we can have all these debates.
So just as a point of fact, it's against the law for non-citizens to get those subsidies. And if they expire, Americans' premiums could jump as much as 75%, some experts say, and consumers could start viewing those higher premiums as soon as October. Are you not worried at all that those people might blame Republicans for those health care costs, for the insurance costs going up?
No, they're not being truthful about that, Jake. The program doesn't expire until the end of December, so we have time to have all those discussions and debates. But yes, it is illegal for illegal aliens to receive health care paid for by hardworking American taxpayers. But they're making the demand to change that. They want to add that back in. That's one of Chuck Schumer's primary demands, to keep the government open, and we're not going to do that. The American people didn't vote for us to do that. We're trying to clean up the system. So what they're demanding, they know is outrageous. They know it's far beyond the pale. And look, I challenge anybody listening to us, Jake, go pull this up. You will see there is nothing partisan in what we have passed and presented to the Senate. Chuck Schumer is doing this for one reason. He is trying to get cover from the far left base of his party because they've been hammering him for not fighting Trump. So he's going to try to show that he's fighting Trump, but he has absolutely no logical basis for doing so here.
So just to be clear, there's not going to be any negotiation at this meeting. This is just going to be you and Thune and Trump telling Jeffries and Schumer, we're not giving you anything.
Look, I'm not going to get in front of the president and tell you what he will do, but I've talked with him, a couple of times, even yesterday. And I'm telling you where his head is. He wants to bring in the leaders to come in and act like leaders and do the right thing for the American people. It's fine to have partisan debates and squabbles, but you don't hold the people hostage for their services to allow yourself political cover. And that's what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are doing right now.
Let's turn to the other big subject in the news here, having to do with the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey. Just looking at the principle at stake here, if you can remove Comey and Trump out of the equation, as a constitutional attorney and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, do you believe it's acceptable for any president to publicly or privately instruct their attorney general to prosecute a political opponent and go as far as firing a U.S. attorney if they don't bring charges because they don't think the case is strong enough?
I'm glad you brought up the principle. That is exactly what's at issue here. James Comey lied to Congress. Okay, he took an oath. He said things to Congress that were simply not true. It's called perjury. A grand jury that is not, a nonpartisan, non-biased grand jury that was assembled looked at the charges and they agreed, they voted to bring an indictment of James Comey. Not President Trump, not the DOJ, but a grand jury. That's how our system works. It's a very important principle for us to apply, that everybody has to subscribe to the law, even a former FBI director. And he has lots to answer for. There are many things that he could have been indicted for, but the statute of limitations ran out on so many of those matters. Not here. Perjury is important. You can't, especially if you're a high official, appointed or elected official, you cannot raise your hand, take an oath, and lie to Congress. And that's an important principle, Jake, for us to advance.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but you didn't answer the part about President Trump putting it all out there for everyone to see on Truth Social after pushing out the U.S. attorney, this conservative Eric Siebert. He wrote to Pam Bondi, the attorney general, nothing's being done about Comey, Schiff, and Letitia James, even though they're all, quote, guilty as hell. The president demanded justice must be served now. He mentioned Lindsay Halligan, who is now the acting U.S. attorney. And Bondi clearly got the message. She appointed Halligan U.S. attorney, despite the fact she has no prosecutorial experience. A few days later, Halligan indicted Comey. I mean, this looks like it was directed by the president. As you know, indictments are not convictions. Indictments have to do with a grand jury saying whether or not a case can be brought. It's not a finding of guilt. The defense isn't even allowed to present a case there. Don't you have any qualms about any president telling an attorney general, go after these three political opponents?
I would take issue with that. I don't think that's what he did. But what I have qualms with, Jake, is the total and utter weaponization of the Department of Justice. And Comey was a primary person responsible for that. They quite literally, for 4 years under the Biden administration, turned the entire apparatus of our judicial system against one person. His name's Donald Trump. There's never been a political figure in the history of the world who was so maligned and attacked, certainly not using the legal system of his country to go after him in the way that they did. Every way possible. You and I would need 3 hours of a program to go through all the ways that they did that. They weaponized the DOJ. And so that's what Comey ultimately was the leader of and responsible for. He was one of the primary persons who did that. And I think if he lied to Congress about what he knew and when he knew it, then that is a matter that transcends politics. I think he has to be tried for that. And I expect that the jury in that case will determine that that's exactly what he did.
Well, this case is specifically about whether or not Comey lied about leaking information what seems to have taken place during 2016, 2017, having nothing to do with Joe Biden. But let me ask you a question, because you talked about the weaponization of the Justice Department during Biden. Because this is something conservatives bring up a lot, and I understand there was a special counsel investigating Trump, and there were cases in New York and all that. But can you explain how the special counsel investigating Hunter Biden during the Biden presidency, which resulted in a criminal conviction, and the special counsel investigating into President Biden himself during the Biden presidency, which resulted in this incredibly damaging Hur report, how did those investigations fit into the theory that the Biden era was one of Democrats weaponizing the Justice Department? Because they were also going after the Democratic president and his Democratic son.
They were not going after the president and his family. They did the bare minimum that they had to do to maintain the label on the door, Department of Justice. Okay, look, everyone knows this. This is not even a matter of dispute.
Hunter was going to go to jail.
President Trump, even when he was not president. Well, they went after President Trump criminally, civilly. They tried to just ruin him, destroy him, because they didn't want him to run for president again. I mean, there are volumes written about this, Jake, and you and I both know that that's true. And there'll be a lot of accountability, I hope, in the future to ensure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again. Comey has been on a tirade against Trump since way back then, since 2016, 2017. Remember, he famously walked on the beach and put 86-47, implying that President Trump should be exterminated effectively, okay? It was a big controversy several months back, right? He has shown his bias, and they have used the Department of Justice against him. Remember all the former intel officials who signed the letter saying that the phony Russian dossier was real? I mean, everybody knows this. We don't have to relitigate it this morning. The point is the Department of Justice currently is doing what the Department of Justice should do, and they have to hold people accountable. We have to ensure that the rule of law applies to everyone, and that's exactly what's happening here.
Does the rule of law have to apply to people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. There's new information over the last couple of days about that as well. Apparently, there were 274 FBI agents in the crowd on January 6th.
No.
I think the total number of persons involved...
Kash Patel just...
Okay, this is why Jake is a bad journalist. This is why people hate CNN. Change your topic, shift the topic, and try to tell the public. Yeah, this is the spiritual fight. Agree. Try to shift the topic about Gen 6. I was going to have a video. Actually, I do have a video about Gen 6, what happened. The people were walking around, and many of us already see how the cops open the gate, how those Antifa, we think it's Antifa, or we think it's, now we know it's from FBI, how they break the windows, okay? Got a lot of information coming out soon, and Jake is just trying to mislead the conversation. Jake is good at that, okay? He has an experience. And yesterday also, I'm show everyone about the movie called The Plot Against President Trump. It was yesterday. And I hope people with open mind, if you have TDS, or I also call it projective thinking, then it's difficult for you to see yourself as a cult, okay? Just have an open mind and watch it and see what it says. a lot of projective thinking is how you jump things into conclusion, or people like assuming. Okay, people like to assume. Okay, so thank you very much for all your comment. And like I said before, my name is Dennis. I'm California first. I'm in California, so I try my best bring out more California related policy. And yesterday I did SB 771. So actually there's a AB 495. All those bad bill passed by our supermajority Sacramento. If Newsom doesn't go veto it, it will become law in a month. So Bay Area. Oh man, I think Bay Area is the most difficult place right now. Yeah, and because I'm in the San Gabriel Valley, which Chinese community, we may still have little bit of little bit. Okay, yeah. So if we don't fight, we can lose the whole state, and Los Angeles everywhere. So okay, good. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me going to vote no on Prop 50. Okay. It is, but okay. Here we are just not. Yeah, we do have a lot of Republican. They are being Republican. See the personality. Republican has a personality is we mind our own business. Usually we don't like to deal with a lot of stuff. Now we have no choice because they force our kid to, well, if you have a daughter, they force our daughter to watching a man peeping. So so they force a lot of stuff, they try to SB 771 yesterday I talked about is try to censor social media. And also AB 495 is just they come into school and just take your kid away. Automatic become guardians. Okay, so but those bills already passed by Sacramento. Right now we need Newsom to veto. So if he don't veto those bills, those bills become law. So very frustrated. Okay, so helpless here, and people are talking about taxes. Okay, oh man, we suffering in California, and people are trying to tell me about, what's Texas doing? Okay, I'm not Texan, I'm Californians. Okay, so people are just trying to against Trump for the sake of against Trump, and we have a term for that. It's called TDS. Okay. Now we see we learn why there's a shutdown, and this time the shutdown, the Democrat should have the guts to say they are the one who's shutting it down. Okay. Last term, President Trump's last term, he wanted to build a wall, and the Congress didn't want to fund the wall. Okay, and Trump said, okay, Trump willing to shut down for security. See, the money we print during the Democrat Biden is given out to other countries. During the pandemic, we have inflation too, okay? During the pandemic, Trump has to print money too, okay? But he print the money for us, People do not forget that. That's a great comparison. Nowadays, well, Biden print the money and give it out to other countries. Besides that, how about the Afghanistan? Okay, all those Kamala Harris lied to us with 60 Minutes. So you say we are lying, okay? So I think you really have to look it up, double check. At the beginning, I put a Ronald Reagan video when he was in a guest in Johnny Carson. Okay, I have. Okay, let me see if I can put it out. I have a viewer put a lie to a viewer. See if I can. Okay. He comment in my other video. He said Ronald Reagan is responsible for inflation today more than any president in history. He introduced compound interest through the credit and the debit system. Okay, let me see. Okay. The exponential nature of this system has fundamentally crippled the opportunities of every generation that has come since. Ronald Reagan is rolling around on the bed of coals in the deepest pit of hell with the rapist and murderer. This guy he doesn't know history. So people are like this. Emotional, what's that called? Our TDS, okay. So I find out, so that's why, and let me post it again. And the answer, I posted. Let me post it again. Oh, too long, okay, too long. Do it separately, okay? Do it separately. Okay? When Ronald Reagan took office in 1981, the U.S. was experiencing a period of stagflation, combination of high inflation and high unemployment. That's Carter, okay? Inflation rate is 1980. Inflation rate in 1980 was staggering 13.5, okay? And when Reagan, by the end of 1988, by the end of Reagan leave office, the inflation rate dropped to 4.1, okay? This is not my data, okay? I didn't create this. I find it, search it, okay? So people stop nowadays. Now, people need to stop TDS, okay? Look up Trump in dictionary. Look up Trump in dictionary, emotional damage. Yeah, because TDS, okay? Look up Trump in dictionary, you will find TDS. Okay. So you put out the number, you got to look for it, you got to search it and give out real data. Okay. Nowadays it's not like the old day. We have AI, we have ChatGPT, we have Grok, and we have Gemini. Okay. So you cannot lie to people now. Okay. So put out something fact, and then we can discuss about it. Okay. Put out fact. Don't bring out your emotion. I just can laugh. TDS is real. Get help for your family. Yeah, I know. So, not all Democrats has TDS. Okay, let me be clear. Okay, we have so many Democrats have TDS. Okay, that's it. Okay. Thank you for your comment. It's okay. Now we got to talk about the Middle East because everyone was talking about free Palestine, okay? And a lot of protester waving the Palestinian flag in US, okay? And Asian laughing at. I'm laughing at the TDS, Karen. Hi, Karen. Welcome to California First. Yeah, I agree. We do need emotion, but if the emotion go beyond took over, that will become the projective thinking that also can stop you from level up to the three pillar I talked about before. The three pillar, we will have the knowledge. Also, we won't jump to conclusion. If we have knowledge, experience, and logic, and we will not have to jump to any conclusion. And I don't believe all Democrats have TDS, and that's why I like to continue this English English channel. It's very difficult for me to speak English, and many the problem it's very stressful, I can say, and also I'm afraid people get used to Chinglish and forgot English. Boy, oh boy, okay. I wish Mega were not seen, then what? Not see, then we see some real progress. Mega will not see, then we Mega not see. I don't know. I don't get it. Okay. Well, thank you for your comment. I'm going to go on with Bibi Netanyahu was in White House, and he talked about his plan. President Trump talked about the plan, so we can really stop the killing, okay? And at the same time, we need to stop Hamas. People, when they wave the flag of Palestinian flag, they should know behind that there was Hamas, okay? And we never see the whole thing start October 7th, okay? It was October 7th. The Hamas attacked Israel, okay? So Israel was trying his best to defend the country. So nothing wrong with it. Just like people who support Ukraine because they don't like Putin. Putin invade Ukraine. Same thing. Hamas invade Israel. So the standard is the same. But the method may be different because we are dealing with Hamas, the terrorist organization, and Putin, the big country. Okay, so the way to deal with them has different method, different way of deal with them. Absolute bullshit. False flag. Yeah, false flag. Hamas is a terrorist organization. You say that's bullshit? Or the suicidal bomber, okay? They took the kid and trained them as an army, okay? Or genocide, okay? Israel never tried to kill all the Palestine, but the Hamas group, they want to river from the sea, okay? What are you talking about? So you got to do some homework, okay? Otherwise, your emotion, okay, will also remember. Every time when you say something, you got to remember about if you have projective thinking, okay? If you don't know what's projective thinking, very easy, look it up, okay? Look it up. Learn it. Let's going to have I think it's very important meeting because without talking, war will continue, and the whole thing Trump did. I don't know if any one of you watch this yet. Ben suppose use a lot of emotion. Yeah, I know, because it's own country. Too much emotion. Sometimes I thought, yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So it's easier for me to say because it's not my country. But if you talk about Hong Kong, I get emotional too. If you talk about CCP, I get emotional too. People knows me long time. They know I anti-CCP, and I did a lot of video about complaining against a CCP. I know about how operation, how CCP infiltrate America. I know all those. Okay, and I will get emotion too when, especially if I have to speak about how they damage, how the CCP destroy Hong Kong. So I will get emotion. But on the other hand, I still have to bring out the facts. Okay, and I know Ben Shapiro is get really emotional. That's why I haven't listened to him for a while. Yeah, I haven't listened to him for a while. Yes, Nikki. Which Nikki? Prop 50. Prop 50 will win only by the illegal vote. Okay? Otherwise, no chance. No chance. Nobody like Newsom. Okay? That's why Newsom bring out Trump and tell people. So shift of target, People don't like Newsom. And Newsom want to be a president. And he has no chance in the party. And he want to be a leader. And what can he do? What can he do? So he got to find a way to say, oh, put Trump as a target. So put everyone well, I talked about that already in previous video. Welcome, just come in this Dr. GT3. You just think, okay, because I already say I don't need you. Anyone who's still talking about Epstein file, they troll. Timeout. Give him a timeout. I don't need those troll. Don't even. We want to have a productive discussion. We can disagree, but we don't need. We don't use lie. We don't lie to each other. We're using facts. Charlie Good is amazing. Okay. Charlie Good is amazing. That's why I will keep, if I can find more video, if I have time, I will keep posting Charlie Kirk. Keep spreading his word, his kindness. The fake news media kill him. Okay, I can tell you about that. The fake news media smear him and causing TDS people to take violent action. Okay, this is what happened, and that's why I will continue to do that. Yeah, if you continue to post Charlie Kirk, fight continue, and this is the last quote before he passed away, before he got murdered. And on December 18 to 21, I'm going to America Fest 2025 in Arizona. So go to tpusa.com and you can log in, and then you find out about the price and everything. It's a 3-day event and all the great guests. We will continue Turning Point mission. Well, in different format, I will tell you. Everyone has different personality, so everyone will have a different format to continue Charlie Kirk's legacy. And let's see. Let's see what our greatest president has to say.
The President of the United States and the Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
Thank you very much, everybody. So this is a big, big day, a beautiful day, potentially one of the great days ever in civilization. Things that have been going on for hundreds of years and thousands of years. We're at least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We've worked well together, as we have with many other countries, both of us, with many other countries, which is the only way this whole situation gets solved. And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal, everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East. So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East, and let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East. So this is far more than anybody expected, but the level of support that I've had from the nations in the Middle East and surrounding Israel and neighbors of Israel has been incredible, incredible. Every single one of them. This afternoon, after extensive consultation with our friends and partners throughout the region, I'm formally releasing our principles for peace, which people have really liked, I must say. And these are done not just routinely done, these are done with total consideration and working with the nations that we're talking about. All of these nations have made contributions to those suggestions. I want to thank the leaders of many Arab and Muslim nations for their tremendous support in developing the proposal, along with many of our allies in Europe. Europe has been very much involved, and as I was called by many of the European leaders, most of them saying, is this true? Are you really doing peace in the Middle East? This is the most incredible thing we've heard. Some think it's the biggest thing they've ever heard. They called just to find out, was it just a rumor or is it actually done? And then they said, have you spoken to the Arab leaders? Have you spoken to all of the other leaders that we have to get? A lot of people involved in this one. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many years, decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region. And I want to just say that my meetings and dialogue that we had with so many countries, Saudi Arabia as an example, the king is a phenomenal person. The Emir of Qatar, he's an incredible people. UAE, and that's MBZ and ABZ. We're totally involved. These are the people that we've been dealing with and who've been actually very much involved in this negotiation, giving us ideas, things they can live with, things they can't live with. Pretty complex. I mean, after 2,000, 3,000 years, whatever it is, I guess it's got to be a little complex, or it would have been done a long time ago. The King of Jordan was with us, as you know, in the United Nations. The President of Turkey, President Erdogan, is a friend of mine, a strong man, but a good man. President of Indonesia, somebody who's an amazing leader, Prabowo. He is an amazing leader and respected by everybody. He was in the room with us. We were together with most of these people that I'm mentioning. Others were by phone or the next day. The Prime Minister and the Field Marshal of Pakistan, they were with us right from the beginning. Incredible. In fact, they just put out a statement that they fully believe in this pact. It just came out just as I was walking around. They said, sir, you have a big notice from the Prime Minister of Pakistan and from the Field Marshal that they back this 100%. President El-Sisi of Egypt, who's terrific. And these are people I've gotten to know over the years. I mean, I would say it started around 2015 and then went into 2016 when the presidency officially began. But I've known him actually for a long time, and there are many cases really great men. I can't say in all cases, but I will tell you in many cases they're great men and some great women too. They tend to be mostly men, however, I will say that. But if accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. So the hostages are coming back, and I hate even saying this from the standpoint, doesn't sound right, but it is so important to the parents. The bodies of the young men, I believe in almost all cases, the young men are coming back immediately. I met with parents. The parents felt as strongly about getting the body of their dead boy back as they did as though the boy were alive and well. It's so important to them. And it means the immediate end to the war itself, not just Gaza. It's the war itself. Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing. And destroy all terror infrastructure, including the tunnels, weapons of production facilities. They have a lot of production facilities that we're destroying. They'll also help train local police forces in the areas that we're discussing right now, in particular in and around Gaza, working with the new transitional authority in Gaza. All parties will agree on a timeline for Israeli forces to withdraw in phases. They'll be withdrawing in phases. No more shooting, hopefully. As progress is made toward achieving these goals, Arab and Muslim nations need to be allowed the chance to fulfill these commitments of dealing with Hamas. They have to deal with them because they were the one group that we have not dealt with. I haven't dealt with them. But the Arab countries are going to, and Muslim countries are going to be dealing with Hamas, and I believe they've already been there. I think they probably have an understanding, and they haven't maybe mentioned that, but I would imagine they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone as far as they've gone. If they're unable to do so, then Israel would have the absolute right and actually our full backing, the U.S. full backing. Marco's here, and a lot of our leaders are here, our great Vice President, Susie Wiles, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. They've been so involved in this in this process. I don't think anybody else could have done it or even come close. But it's we're right there. We're right there. First time in thousands of years, I think you can probably say, if you really look into it, if you study back, if you're a scholar, you would say thousands of years. Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas. But I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do. Everyone understands that the ultimate result must be the elimination of any danger posed in the region, and that danger is caused by Hamas. The tyranny of terror has to end, and this is, again, something that we're looking for. This is eternity. This is for forever. To ensure the success of this effort, my plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace, we call it, the Board of Peace, sort of a beautiful name, the Board of Peace, which will be headed not at my request, believe me, I'm very busy, but we have to make sure this works. The leaders of the Arab world and Israel and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it would be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want, is some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it, and we'll do it right, and we're going to put leaders from other countries on, and leaders that are very distinguished leaders, and we'll have a board, and one of the people that wants to be on the board is the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, good man, very good man, and some others. And they'll be named over the next few days. And it'll be quite the board. Working, everybody wants to be on it now. I don't know if that had anything to do. They named me and everybody else wanted to be on it. I guess they figure, well, he's a soft touch. He'll be easy to deal with. Working with the World Bank and others, it will be responsible for recruiting and training a new government that will be made up of Palestinians, along with highly qualified experts from all around the world. Hamas and other terrorist factions will play no role in the board, but they'll play no role in the governance of Gaza at all, directly or indirectly. As you know, thousands of Hamas leaders have been killed and soldiers have been killed. And we can never forget October 7th, but thousands have paid the price for that. And now it's time to get our hostages back and get back to trying to build something that's really great and very important. In our meeting today, Prime Minister Netanyahu was very clear about his opposition to a Palestinian state. And he continuously mentions October 7th, and I understand that. Most people do. And I understand and respect his position on many things, but what he's doing today is so good for Israel. I notice that they have large crowds gathering in Israel all the time, and they have my name up. They like me for whatever reason, Bibi, I don't know, but they do like me. But they say two things. Please get the hostages back and please end the war. They've had it. It's had it. So I think it's a very popular thing you do, because he's a warrior. He doesn't know about getting back to a normal way of life, but he is a warrior, and Israel's lucky to have him. But now the people want to get back to peace. They want to get back to normalization in a true sense. Several countries have foolishly recognized the Palestinian state. As you know, some of our European friends, allies, good people, but they're really, I think, doing that because they're very tired of what's going on for so many decades. They've been presidents and prime ministers for years, and during this time, having to do with the Middle East, all they're doing is talking about the same thing over and over. They want to see it get back. And nobody wants that more than me, or I believe Bibi too. But the people of Israel want it. They really want it. They want the hostages back. That includes the probably 32 bodies that we're talking about, 20 people that are living, 32 or so people that are dead, and they want to have peace. So let us not forget how we got here. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. Israel withdrew from Gaza thinking they would live in peace. Remember that a long time ago, they withdrew. They said, you take it. This is our contribution to peace. But that didn't work out. That didn't work out. It was the opposite of peace. They pulled away. They let them have it. And I never forgot that because I said, that doesn't sound like a good deal to me. As a real estate person, I mean, they gave up the ocean, right? Ron, they gave up the ocean. They said, who would do this deal? And it still didn't work out. They were very generous, actually. And they gave up the most magnificent piece of land in many ways in the Middle East. And they said, all we want to do now is have peace. And that request was not honored. Instead of building a better life for the Palestinians, Hamas diverted resources to build over 400 miles of tunnels and terror infrastructure, rocket production facilities, and hid their military command posts and launch sites in hospitals, schools, and mosques. So if you went after them, you'd be after them and you wouldn't even realize you ended up knocking out a hospital or a school or a mosque. That terrible thing, terrible, terrible way to have to fight. No fight is good, but that's a real bad one. So there are many Palestinians who wish to live in peace. Many. I've seen so many of them. And they have support. And I challenge the Palestinians to take responsibility for their destiny, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them responsibility for their destiny, fully condemn and prohibit terrorism and earn their way to a brighter future. They don't want the life that they've had. They've had a rough life with Hamas. If the Palestinian Authority does not complete the reforms that I laid out in my vision for peace in 2020, they'll have only themselves to blame. We're giving them an amazing footprint, and they have amazing support from the leaders of the Arab world and the Muslim world, the great leaders. These are great leaders. These are unbelievable leaders that have built great countries and very wealthy countries. What the future holds for the Palestinians, no one really knows, but the plan that we put forward today is focused on ending the war immediately, getting all of our hostages back, getting everything back. Hard to believe when you even say it, and creating conditions for durable Israeli security and Palestinian success. Israeli security is going to be involved. We're going to help you. We'll be there with you in terms of helping with security. We want to make sure it works. We just want to make sure it works. There shouldn't be a shot fired. Now, there will be, I guess, because that's the way it seems to be, but there shouldn't have to be within a few days. There shouldn't have to be a shot fired. Maybe for eternity. Wouldn't that be nice? I hope it's true. I can tell you the leadership of that region feels that there's a good chance of it being true. So this will lead to this agreement that we're talking about will lead to a sustainable, long-term peace. No president in history has been a greater friend of the state of Israel than I have, in addition to negotiating the Abraham Accords. I like to say it that way because the real people, that's what they call Abraham. I would say Abraham, but it's so much nicer when you say Abraham. So much more elegant. But the Abraham Accords are amazing. Jared, you did that along with your group of geniuses, and nobody thought that could be done. We have 4 countries, and Sleepy Joe Biden didn't do a thing. He didn't even know what the hell they were. He should have had them fold up. But I think this will also lead to packing them. And who knows, maybe even Iran can get in there. I hope, we hope we're going to be able to get along with Iran. I think they're going to be open to it. I really believe that. But they could be a member. I long ago said, I'll bet you at some point Iran will be a member of the Accords. And little did I realize it was going to take this turn. That was some turn we did with the B-2s. But I think they might very well be there because it's a great thing for them economically. I recognize the eternal capital of Israel. I opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. That was something that everyone said would never be done, could never be done. Virtually every president for many, many years, for decades, would campaign on making Jerusalem the capital of Israel. They campaigned on it over and over. Is that right, Steve? Is that right? Everyone, and when they got to it, and I understand why now, because it was so. When I got to office, I campaigned on it too. I said, we're going to make it. And then I'd get calls from the leaders of various countries saying, please don't do it, please don't do it. It'll end the whole world, please don't do it. And finally, I just didn't say anything, and I did it. People were calling me before I did it because they heard I was going to do it, and leaders of countries were calling me, and I think it was on a Thursday that I did it, and they'd call me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3-4 times a day, and I said, tell them I'll call them back on Friday. And I announced it on Thursday, and I called them back, the biggest people in the world, and they said, you've done it. I said, done what? You've made the capital of Israel, Jerusalem, and we wanted to talk yet. I wish you called me a little sooner. Maybe I could have done something about it. So that was a lot easier than getting into an argument, because I knew what they were calling about. And you know what? It turned out to be amazing. Everybody thought it was going to lead to the end of the world, right? The end of the world, Ron, that's what they said. It didn't lead to anything. It just led to something that I promised, and something that was very, very popular for Jewish people and a lot of other people, too. I recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and I cut taxpayer funding to the corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency. And United Nations was interesting because, as you know, a few days ago they introduced me. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. I'm looking at my teleprompter, and the thing was dead, stone cold, dead. The thing's up here. I have a long, beautiful speech to make. I'm back 30 feet back, and I'm saying, they're introducing me. There's nothing on my teleprompter. So, but I made a speech. I actually got good marks. You think Biden could have done that? I don't think so. I don't think he could have done that. I don't think too many people could have done it. But actually, it was actually more of a speech from my heart, if you want to know the truth. I think it was maybe better in certain ways because it was from the heart. It has to be from the heart. Otherwise, you're in big trouble. But I cut taxpayer funding for that very corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency, and nobody thought that would be done, and withdrew from the horrible Iran nuclear deal that was imposed upon Israel by Barack Hussein Obama and Biden. And I don't think Biden knew anything about it, though. I don't think he knows anything about it now, actually, if you ask him. He'd say, what is that? And we obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity, making it impossible for them to have a nuclear weapon, which they would have had probably in about 2 months from that. But I've never asked Israel to compromise its security, but we had big, strong talk. Nobody's been better to Israel. No president's been better to Israel than Donald Trump. But we had a long, strong talk, Bibi and I, and he understands it's time. It's time. History has shown. And the people of Israel want it. And the people of the Middle East want it. The people of enemies of Israel want it. But they don't have really too many enemies right now. And you know what? Many countries have gained great respect for Israel, for the way they fight, for the job they do, including me. I had respect anyway, but they gained respect. History has shown us that those who have relations with Israel have thrived, while those who have devoted resources and attention toward the destruction and even annihilation of Israel have languished. They haven't done well. Israel is not going anywhere. They're going to coexist with other people and countries in the region, from Syria to Lebanon to Saudi Arabia. The promise of a new Middle East is so clearly within our reach. This is the closest we've ever come to real peace, not fake peace, not political fool's peace. If we can get this difficult problem solved, the opportunities for all within that vast region of this world, it's a vast region, it's unlimited. The Abraham Accords show that all countries are better off when they communicate and work together and embrace new opportunities. I hope Jared and Steve and Susie and Marco and JD, we have great people. I hope you guys are going to work very hard to get these other countries in, because now they have no excuse. There's no longer an excuse. They were somewhere hesitant. And I tell you, the 4 countries that went in, I give them tremendous credit, and it's worked out incredibly well for them. In the same spirit, I'm pleased to report that earlier today, we took another important step toward greater understanding of the region. A short time ago, we had a historic phone call in the Oval Office with Prime Minister Tani, who's really a great person. So we had a great talk, and I was on the phone, and Bibi was talking. Prime Minister Al Thani was of Qatar. They really had a heart-to-heart conversation. It was a great conversation, I thought. It was productive. It was everything that you need to have something turn out to be successful. And I want to thank Bibi, and I want to thank the Prime Minister. It was fantastic. We agreed to launch a formal trilateral mechanism between Israel, Qatar, and the United States to begin a dialogue to enhance mutual security, correct misperceptions, and avoid future misgivings. And I want to thank Qatar, its leadership, and the Emir. He's a fantastic person. I think, I'm going to be his public relations man because I know him differently than a lot of people know him. But he wants peace. He wants to see peace. And its people, and they really acknowledge the critical role that they've played as mediator. And again, we're not quite finished. We have to get Hamas, but I think they're going to be able to do that. So now it's time for Hamas to accept the terms of the plan that we've put forward today. And again, this is a different Hamas than we were dealing with, because I guess over 20,000 have been killed. Their leadership has been killed 3 times over. So you're really dealing with different people than we've been dealing with over the last 4 years, 5 years. Everyone has done their part and come to the table in good faith. Our Arab and Muslim partners are fully prepared to step up and fulfill their commitments for the benefit of the people of Gaza and the entire region. They're willing to step up and do a lot. They really are. There are a lot of good people involved. Everybody who wants to see an end to the violence and destruction should be united in calling for Hamas to accept the extremely fair proposal so that we can end the war and get us back our hostages right now and have everlasting peace. And I look forward to having relationships with everyone. As the chairman of the board, I'll be involved, and we'll have meetings with some very smart people that'll be working over there to make sure that we haven't just been wasting time with an agreement that doesn't get done. The task of building peace will not be easy. There are some of the hardest problems in the world to solve, and that's why it's been going on for so many centuries. But too many lives are at stake not to try, and this was more than a try. I mean, I think this is something that gets done when you have virtually every country, and these are powerful, powerful countries that have a lot of money, and the money can make things happen. A lot of countries try, and they don't have any money. These are very rich countries that can make things happen. So together we'll forge a much safer and more hopeful future for everybody, including Israel. And I want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for his partnership. And I want to thank all of the leaders, the kings and the emirs and the presidents and prime ministers, people I mentioned. And they've been absolutely fantastic to work with. And it's just happened very quickly. It's happened from a couple of weeks before I had a couple of meetings, but a couple of weeks before we went to the United Nations, and we had some incredible meetings. It all came to place. It all took place, and everybody wanted to be a part of it. I don't have anybody that's saying we don't want anything to do with it. It's just the opposite. And I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, a year ago, I don't think we would have had this kind of participation, Mr. VP, right? I don't think we would have had. It's been amazing. The participation was 100%. Everybody wants to be a part of it. And everybody, those very strong countries, everybody wants it to work. So, Bibi, congratulations on this. I think this will be your crowning achievement, frankly, if this all works out. We think it will. It's going to be your crowning achievement, and I want to thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Please.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President, first I want to thank you for graciously hosting me once again in the White House. And second, I want to thank you for your friendship and for your leadership. From Jerusalem to Tehran, from the Golan Heights to Gaza, you've proven time and again what I've said many times. You are the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And Mr. President, you and I both know it's not even close. While you focus at home on making America great again, your leadership abroad is changing the world for the better, ending wars and advancing peace. I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for dramatically advancing peace in the Middle East, and I think beyond the Middle East, in very important Muslim countries. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. We would not have achieved this turning point without the courage and sacrifice of our incredibly brave soldiers. They fight like lions to defend the people of Israel, and they serve on the front line in the war between civilization and barbarism. Mr. President, when our two countries stand shoulder to shoulder, we achieve the impossible. Just a few months ago, in Operation Rising Lion and Operation Midnight Hammer, we struck a decisive blow against Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. Your bold decision to send those B-2s made the region safer and the world safer. Now, under your leadership, we're taking the next step to win the war and expand the peace. Your plan is consistent with the 5 principles my government set for the end of the war and the day after Hamas. Everybody asks, what is your plan for the day after Hamas? Here's our plan. Passed it in the cabinet. All our hostages, both those who are alive and those who died, all of them will return home immediately. Hamas will be disarmed. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will retain security responsibility, including a security perimeter for the foreseeable future. And lastly, Gaza will have a peaceful civilian administration that is run neither by Hamas nor by the Palestinian Authority. If Hamas agrees to your plan, Mr. President, the first step will be a modest withdrawal, followed by the release of all our hostages within 72 hours. The next step will be the establishment of an international body charged with fully disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza. I appreciate your willingness to lead the body, Mr. President. I really appreciate it because you have a lot of things to do, and this is important. And it reflects the confidence that this will give everyone, that things will be followed up on all the commitments made. The fact that you're taking this on, I think, helps a lot to make sure that everything flows in the direction that we want. Now, if this international body succeeds, we will have permanently ended the war. Israel will conduct further withdrawals linked to the extent of disarmament and demilitarization, but will remain in the security perimeter for the foreseeable future. I think we should understand that we're giving everybody a chance to have this done peacefully, something that will achieve all our war objectives without any further bloodshed. But if Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way, but it will be done. We prefer the easy way, but it has to be done. All these goals must be achieved because we didn't fight this horrible fight, sacrifice the finest of our young men to have Hamas stay in Gaza and threaten us again and again and again with these horrific massacres. Mr. President, I was encouraged by your clear statement at the UN against the recognition of a Palestinian state. That would be an outcome that, after October 7th, would reward terrorism, undermine security, and endanger Israel's very existence. As for the Palestinian Authority, I appreciate your firm position that the PA could have no role whatsoever in Gaza without undergoing a radical and genuine transformation. In your 2020 peace plan, which you mentioned just now, you made clear what that transformation requires. It's not lip service. It's not checking a box. It's a fundamental, genuine, and enduring transformation. And that means ending pay to slay, changing the poisonous textbooks that teach hatred to Jews, to Palestinian children, stopping incitement in the media, ending lawfare against Israel at the ICC, the ICJ, recognizing the Jewish state, and many, many other reforms. It won't come as a surprise to you that the vast majority of Israelis have no faith that the PA Leopard will change its spots. But rather than wait for this miraculous transformation, your plan provides a practical and realistic path forward for Gaza in the coming years, in which Gaza will be administered neither by Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority, but by those committed to a genuine peace with Israel. I think this can be not only a new beginning for Gaza, I think it can be a new beginning for the entire region. Under your leadership, we can re-energize, well, I've got to contribute my own, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords. That's what it's called in the original Hebrew, Abraham. Abraham is fine, Abraham, however you want to call it. Under your leadership, Mr. President, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords that we forged 5 years ago. We can expand them to many more Arab and Muslim nations that choose moderation over extremism. I think there's an opportunity here. It's not going to be easy, it's tough going, but I think if we succeed, you're absolutely right. We're going to open possibilities that nobody even dreamed of. But I think we dream of them. As you've told me, Mr. President, and you've told the world many, many times, you said, remember October 7th. Remember October 7th. And we do. We will never forget the horrors of October 7th, and we will do whatever is necessary to make sure they don't happen again. Since October 7th, Israel's enemies have learned a hard truth. Those who attack us pay a heavy price, but those who partner with us advance progress and security for their peoples. President Trump just said it. It's also in the Bible. It says, those who will bless you will be blessed, and those who will curse you will be cursed. And that's actually what is happening. We want the blessings. I think we've done a lot in the past 2 years to end the curse. We're not finished, but we've done a lot. And we've done a lot together to end the curse. I want to thank your entire team for their efforts to get to this point. I especially want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for their indefatigable work to bring Israel and Arab states in the region closer together. I am deeply grateful to both of them for their work. We had a phone call today just to make it clear. I said to the Prime Minister of Qatar Israel was targeting terrorists, wasn't targeting Qatar. And of course, we regretted the loss of the Qatari citizen. It wasn't our target. And I very much appreciate President Trump's proposal to have a trilateral body, the United States, Israel, and Qatar, to work out respective grievances. There are quite a few. But if we could try to mitigate them or put it on a different footing, I think that'll be good for everyone. Above all the people, the fine team, and many helpers who've done this, I want to thank you, Mr. President. History has already shown that under your leadership, Israel and America can change the face of the Middle East. And today I'm hopeful that your plan to end the war in Gaza will do so again and do so soon. It will free our hostages, end Hamas's tyranny in Gaza, and enable a more secure and prosperous future for the peoples of our region. Thank you, Mr. President. May God bless America. May God bless Israel. May God bless the indispensable alliance between our countries. And may I add, in Hebrew, G'mal Chatima Tova, may we all be inscribed in the book of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bibi. So I think while we wait for these documents to be signed and get everybody in line, I think it maybe is not really appropriate to take questions. I'm meeting with, as you know, a couple of Democrats in a little while about the country, about keeping our country open. They're going to have to do some things because their ideas are not very good ones. They're very bad for our country. So we'll see how that works out. But this is something that was really historic today. This was something that was amazing. I think, Bibi, I mean, depending on you, I think while we're waiting for signatures and waiting for approvals from a lot of different countries that are involved in this, we probably shouldn't take questions? Or would you like to take a question or two from perhaps a friendly Israeli reporter, if there's such a thing?
That's a very, very tough proposition. But I would think, Mr. President, that I would go by your instinct that this is, we'll have enough time for questions. Let's settle the issue first, I think.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Situation's really bad, very bad. And we think it could happen. Maybe it could happen pretty soon. We want the hostages back. We want the bodies back. And we want to have peace in that region. So we had some very good talks. As you know, I had President Erdogan here, Turkey, and we had a great meeting today. I think we had a meeting that was very conclusive in so many different things that we wanted, things that he wanted, and that was good. We'll be announcing that sometime later, and he'll be making an announcement too. But we had a great meeting with Turkey, and they're a very respected president, and spent time. We had lunch, and we had a lot of good discussions. So those two things, and we have some executive orders today to sign that are very important for the country. And we'll start off with one that's a proclamation. And yes, sir. Want to do that, Will?
Yes, sir. So today is Gold Star Mothers and Families Day. This is an annual proclamation. This is to commemorate the fallen, those who have died for all of our freedoms and for our country, and for their families who have suffered such grievous losses. But this is a proclamation commemorating Gold Star Mothers and Gold Star families. Yeah,
and they're great people. Incredible people, what they've had to go through. Very few people could have gone through this kind of thing. Gold Star. Okay, thank you very much. I'll put it over here, Steve.
Next, sir, we have an executive order on TikTok from
What's your view in terms of what should happen nationwide when it comes to redistricting?
Well, first of all, in California, it's a big mistake to go and to dismantle and to basically kind of get rid of the independent redistricting commission under the auspices of we got to have more power than the Republicans. And we got to fight Trump. Because, yes, they are fixing the elections in Texas. But that does not mean that California should fix the elections because of that. Two wrongs don't make a right. It's that simple. And whenever the politicians say that we're only doing this temporarily with the redistricting commission, with the independent one, there's no such thing with politicians and temporarily. Have you ever seen a tax that stopped? When they say this is just temporary, it is permanent. I'm for the power of the people, not the parties. And therefore I say vote no on Proposition 50.
Because when I talked to Governor Newsom about this and about your conversation with him about this, he told me that he said to you, if we are not successful that there will be no more independent redistricting, the whole thing's over. He has no faith in President Trump in order to do fair elections if Republicans have all control, and he says that it is temporary. You don't buy what Governor Newsom's saying?
Of course not. Look, I've sat there in Sacramento. I've listened to the politicians for 7 years. They are not interested in giving any power to the people. The only interest that they have is to take power away from the people and grab it themselves. So this gives them a great opportunity by saying, oh, we have to fight Trump. Let's go and get rid of our democratic principles. Imagine to fight for democracy and to get rid of your democratic principles. It doesn't make any sense. And plus, we have so many homeless people in California. And there they cannot do anything about it. But they're spending $200 million on a special election. I would rather give this money to the homeless people that really need it rather than to the politicians. Let's give the money to the people rather than the politicians. This is what this is all about. That's why I'm against Proposition 50. That's why I always will say nothing against Newsom. We don't have a fight over this at all.
Yeah, because you guys met. What was that like? When you
it was a
met
wonderful
together?
meeting. He told me what he felt. I told him, I said, I totally get it. Because this is what you need to do to be the leader of the party. I totally get it, but I'm not a party person, I said. I'm a people's person.
Are you going to be campaigning anymore? What's your role? Are you going to be doing interviews, going around the state, doing rallies? What's your role in this campaign?
No, I have no plan. All I wanted to do really is to come out and to say to the people, hold it. Before you go and vote, you should know this is a scam. And vote no on Proposition 50.
So potentially.
In the first days of your administration, you've charged a team from your administration led by Vice President Vance with ensuring that we can preserve TikTok as a platform for the 170 million Americans who use it, while ensuring that their data is properly protected as required by law. With this executive order, you will be effectively bringing into effect the agreement that will save TikTok and ensure that it can operate safely and securely.
So this is interesting because I had a very good talk with President Xi, a lot of respect for him. Hopefully he has a lot of respect for me too. And we talked about TikTok and other things, but we talked about TikTok and he gave us the go-ahead. You know, it's run by American investors and American companies, great ones, great investors, the biggest. You don't get bigger, I don't imagine. And maybe I'll have JD. JD was very much involved and in charge of it. And maybe I'll have you say a few words about the deal. He would report back, and the points of the deal, I think, are great for our country. So, JD, do you want to give it a little talk, please?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So thank you, sir, for your leadership and for your help. We really couldn't have done this without the president actually ushering this deal over the finish line. There was some resistance on the Chinese side, but the fundamental thing that we wanted to accomplish is that we wanted to keep TikTok operating but we also wanted to make sure that we protected Americans' data privacy as required by law, both because it's the right thing to do, but also because it's a legal requirement of the law that was passed last year by Congress. So we think that we were able to do that. Of course, we're going to keep on working at it, but this deal really does mean that Americans can use TikTok, but actually use it with more confidence than they had in the past, because their data is going to be secure and it's not going to be used as a propaganda weapon against our fellow citizens. We're very excited about it. We appreciate the cooperation of everybody involved, and it's a big day.
And I think I can say that especially the young people, they really wanted this to happen. They did not want to have TikTok close. And I got, a little used to TikTok. I used it myself during the campaign, and it was very successful because you know how I did with the young voter. And Charlie helped me a lot too. And he said to me, you should go on TikTok. And it actually had, because we got record votes with the young voter, as you know, for the election. So I was a little bit prejudiced in that way toward TikTok. It was very good and very meaningful. But we have American investors taking it over, running it, highly sophisticated, including Larry Ellison. And Oracle, I guess, is going to play a very big role in terms of security, safety, and everything else. So we have very good controls. And literally, I would get a call from friends of mine who were fathers of young people saying, could you do me a favor? Could you get it approved, please? My son is driving me crazy. So we're getting it done, and they have a big audience, and we have great American investors. And here's your final copy. TikTok. Maybe if you want, we could take a couple of questions on TikTok, and then we're going to get onto something completely different. Okay? Yeah.
Mr. President,
Jeff?
Mr. Vice President, you mentioned that China was resistant. Can you describe where China is now? Are they fully on board with this?
They're
or
on
is
board.
there anything more?
I spoke with President Xi. We had a good talk. I told him what we were doing, and he said, go ahead with it.
On the algorithm, it's still being leased coming from China. Are you satisfied that there's no security concerns for the
Yeah, I am. I really am.
It would push disruptive.
The biggest reason is that it's owned by Americans, and very sophisticated Americans, and people that love the country, and very smart Americans too. So they don't want anything like that to happen. Yes, please.
Thank you. Is there any operational relationship with Chinese entities or staff to execute the deal?
With who?
With the Chinese.
I don't think so. Not that I know. No, this is going to be American operated all the way. And great respect for President Xi, and I very much appreciate that he approved the deal, because to get it done properly, we really needed the support of China and the approval of China. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, now that Americans will have operational control, do you want to see the algorithm suggest more MAGA-related content prioritized?
I always like MAGA-related. If I could, I'd make it 100% MAGA-related. It's actually a good question, but I would, yeah, if I could make it 100% MAGA, I would, but it's not going to work out that way, unfortunately. No, everyone's going to be treated fairly. Every group, every philosophy, every policy will be treated very fairly. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you know the valuation? Do you know the American company is going to be valued in billions?
Well, they valued it very highly. They're paying a big number. Do you want to talk, Scott? Do you want to say something about value?
Well, I'll let the Vice President, and then
JD?
I can follow up.
And you'll say something.
Sure. Well, first of all, I would say all credit goes to the Secretary of the Treasury. Couldn't have got it done without Scott. Also couldn't have got it done without Sean Cooksey on my team, so thanks to them. The company will be valued around $14 billion. We actually think this is a good deal for investors, but ultimately the investors are going to make the determination about what they want to invest in and what they think is a proper value. The most important thing is that it does protect Americans' data security. It ensures TikTok is still accessible. And on this question of the algorithm, which we've heard this a lot, what this deal ensures is that the American entity and the American investors will actually control the algorithm. We don't want this used as a propaganda tool by any foreign government. We want to make sure that our people and our investors actually make these decisions based on what's good for their business as opposed to what's good for another government's propaganda arm. So that's what we've done with this deal. I think it's very good for the American people. And as the President said, young people love this. We actually want everybody to access this, whether they're MAGA or not. We just want it to be fair. We want it to be fair to everybody, and we think that's what's going to happen with this new arrangement.
Well, the U.S. government.
And just to follow up on the Vice President, there were two pieces to the transaction. The Vice President's office has worked since the spring for the commercial transaction between the investor groups, and then Treasury and a group including the Vice President's office were in Madrid 2 weeks ago to negotiate with the Chinese, and it was a result of President Trump's close relationship with Party Chair Xi that we were able to get this across the line. We created a framework for Party Chair Xi to agree, and then on the leaders' call, Xi and President Trump discussed the final arrangement. So it was 1 and 2. And that was the final piece.
Will the U.S. government get any kind of annual payment as a result of this deal?
Taxes. It's going to make money, and we're going to get a lot of money in taxes. And you know, China wanted to see this go. It's a great legacy for China too. And I thought President Xi was great in terms of his approval. We probably could have done it a different way, but it wouldn't have been the same. Wouldn't have been the same security at all, but I appreciated that he approved it.
So nothing aside from taxes, there's no part of the deal that is like a payment to the U.S. government?
Well, we're going to be announcing different things, but the U.S. comes out great. And I think China comes out great because they're going to have a very important legacy. And they have many other deals. You know, they have deals with us, and they have deals in here in this country. And, you know, they want to be treated fairly also.
So, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President, the U.S. company could change the algorithm to push different content? Is that...
The U.S. company will have control over how the algorithm pushes content to users, and that was a very important part of it. We thought it was necessary for the national security element of the law. We also just think it's important to protect American users. Again, we want users to use this platform the way they want to. We want the business to make decisions about content based on the interests of the business and based on the interests of the users, and that's what we think will happen with this new arrangement.
And they're paying a lot of money, and I think hopefully it's going to be a great deal. They're very sophisticated people. You'll see a list. Have you seen a list yet of the people? Well, you've been reading about it. I know Michael Dell's involved, and Rupert Murdoch's involved, and a lot of, and let's see, we have probably 4 or 5 absolutely world-class investors that love the country. They made a lot of money with the country, and many of them are in a somewhat related business, so it works out pretty well. And they're going to be very careful about all of these questions that you've been asking.
Who else beyond Dell and Murdoch?
Well, it's a blue chip group of investors, and we'll be announcing more about who exactly is involved in the deal in the days to come.
Oracle's playing a very big part.
That's right, sir.
And Oracle really understands this. And I think they're actually, and they've been involved for quite a while running it for the people, the previous people. And so it's really, I think it's going to be very well protected. Very, very prestigious deal, actually.
On that point, Mr. President, as the President said, Oracle has actually had a role in housing the data for a long time, even when the entity was controlled by the ByteDance organization in China. So Oracle had a pretty interesting perspective on what was necessary to actually create true data privacy protections for Americans. They were a very important part of getting this thing done.
Mr. President, you told us a couple of weeks ago you thought that the security concerns were overrated, but were there legitimate concerns when it comes to safety?
From my standpoint, no, because the people that own it are, you know, they're not China-centric, they're USA-centric, and they're very smart people. I guess you could say it about everything. Everything is what's secure nowadays. Things that you think are totally secure turn out to not to be. But I think in this case, it's going to be as secure as you can be because of the ownership and the people. And they have a big investment. You know, it's to their advantage to make sure it's good and safe. Yeah. Anybody else? Do you have a question? No, behind you.
Well, I just want to say, do you think this move and getting this deal done, Mr. President, do you think this honors the legacy, like Charlie Kirk, you mentioned that he specifically pushed you to get involved with TikTok in your campaign, helped you win young voters. Do you think this deal honors him?
Well, I think it's a good thing. It's a good sign. We're doing very well, as you know, with the trade deals. We're doing very well with China, and a lot of them. We were never treated properly. We were for 4 years, actually, but we were never treated very properly by other countries, and we're doing well. We've never done this well. We have, because of the tariffs that are coming in, the deals that are being made, $950 billion in one case. $950 billion where previously they paid nothing. We have, as you know, in Japan it's 550 billion, South Korea is 350 billion now. That's up front. And one of the things I can say, I announced it lightly before, but we're taking in tremendous amounts of money with tariffs. We've never seen anything like it. No country's ever seen anything like it. I'm going to devote a little bit of that money, a little bit of the tariff money to our farmers. Our farmers have been incredible. They're the ones that let us survive and eat and enjoy our lives, right? Eat too much, maybe in some cases, like mine. But I will tell you, we're going to take some of the tariff money, relatively small amount, but a lot for the farmers. And we're going to help the farmers out a little bit, because during this transition period, a period where we're taking in incredible amounts of money, we'll have a little bit of a shortfall with the farmers until the tariffs kick in, because they haven't kicked in for the farmers yet. And I decided before, and I spoke to all of the people here, that I want to make a contribution out of the tariff money, a small percentage of it, but it's a lot for the farmers. It will make the farmers feel very good, just help them through the transition. And ultimately, they're going to be making a fortune. They will be one of the top in the whole world in terms of percentage gotten from the tariffs we're taking in. But we have so much coming in; it's a very small thing. But I want to, in fact, just get the word out to the farmer, because they'll be struggling until the transition's complete. Then after that, they're going to do, I think, better than they've ever done before. Last time I said, get yourself a larger tractor and more land. And that was when they were doing very poorly, and they ended up doing that, and they did very well. That was with the deal we made with China. Unfortunately, Biden forgot about the deal, and he never enforced. I enforced it till the end, and China was very honorable. But when Biden came in, he didn't enforce it. So when you don't enforce a deal, they don't do it. So it's terrible. Biden was very bad to the farmers of our country. So we're going to be doing that. It's an honor to do it, too. Brian, did you have a question?
I was just going to say, what's your message to the millions of small businesses here in the U.S. that really rely on TikTok to reach their end user, to market their service and their product?
Well, thank you for that question, because honestly, we were getting hit up. They use it for virtual advertising, and they pay very little for it and nothing for it. And small businesses have become very successful because of TikTok. And we didn't think of that, when everyone's saying, oh, TikTok and this and that. But over the last 6 months, I was called by so many people saying they're going to go out of business if they can, because they use it virtually as a advertising tool. And without it, they wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't be able to get the word out about their good product or whatever it is they're selling. So it's a very important thing for small business. It's another reason I wanted to do the deal so badly. So let's go to another subject now, if we might, okay? And Will, please.
Ask you about farmers.
Yes, go ahead.
What does that look like? Is that going to be direct checks to farmers, or is it going to be?
Well, we haven't decided that. We'll be dealing with Brooke later, and the Secretary of Agriculture, and we'll figure out how to get money to the farmers. And again, this comes out of the large amount, hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money that's pouring into the country. The tariffs, remember when I said a long time ago, I said it's the greatest word, it's my favorite word in the world. Then I had to say, I was forced to say other things, and of course, rightfully so. Love, family, religion. So I think I put tariff number 5. I was forced because the fake news did a big number on me. It's one of those little, but let's say it's my 5th favorite word tariff. But it's making our country very rich. And when our country is rich, I'm able to help the farmers, and I'm able to help even other countries that are in trouble, But we're able to help people that are in trouble. Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, it's all a benefit of this tremendous amount. And I heard numbers coming in today, Scott, where the numbers were very high, right?
The economic numbers were off the charts, sir.
Unfortunately, right? Because this is the only country in the world where you announce great numbers and the stock market goes down. Because when you announce great numbers, they immediately want to take that success away by raising the interest rates. Why can't you announce great numbers and let them lower the interest rate so you can make numbers? This is the only country in the world. I don't know if you heard. Could you just tell them what the number was? And how
it was 3.88% growth. the biggest in years. And the important thing, as the president says, this is going to be non-inflationary growth, just like it was in its first term. So strong growth, low inflation, real wage gains. And to the question on small business optimism under President Trump last week hit a multi-year high. So small businesses, Main Street is back under President Trump.
But isn't it crazy? So I saw the market was down a little bit today. I mean, in all fairness, I don't feel guilty because we've set every record you can imagine. But it was down, and I say, oh, the numbers must be good. Meaning the growth numbers are phenomenal. And again, this is during, but a little bit of the heavy, the really success and the money pouring into our country through the tariffs. And I just say, why can't we have great numbers and lower the interest rates so we have even greater numbers? So people were saying, oh, the numbers are so good, they're going to have to raise interest rates. That doesn't have to happen. And there's no inflation. We have really, the only thing we have is great success. We're having unbelievable success. So the numbers are much higher than anticipated, except for by me and Scott and some of the other people. And they'll get a lot higher than that, too. But I don't want to, every time we have good numbers, say, let's take all the juice out by raising interest rates. It's so backwards. It's so backwards.
Well, Mr. President, they don't appreciate the importance of the third leg of your stool, because trade, taxes, and deregulation allows for significant upside growth without inflation. So eventually the people at the Fed will be able to focus on this like Alan Greenspan did in the 90s. You can have strong growth and low inflation, and I think we can get the stock market up, Wall Street, Main Street, both doing well.
And we want low interest rates. There's no reason that every time we announce these record numbers, these numbers are way above projections by, all the great geniuses out there. They knew this was going to happen. So they had 71 different people, and only 2 got it right. Me and another gentleman from, I think, my wonderful Wharton School of Finance, actually. So anyway, but I really want you to look at that. Every time we have good numbers, they say this is a good time because they're guarding against inflation that may happen in 2 years from now. We have to change our thinking. We should be rewarded for good numbers, not penalized.
So, Mr. President, is that 3.8? Is that the start of a 3% growth for the
entire
year?
The number was projected at 2, because we're in a little bit of a transition period, but that transition period's ending faster than we thought on tariffs. The money coming in is much greater than people thought, and there's no inflation, essentially. There's no inflation. We just went through the worst inflation in the history of our country under sleepy Joe Biden. He was sleeping, and the inflation was really bad, worst ever. They say 48 years, I'll take that too, but I think it was probably the worst inflation we ever had because of spending and energy going through the roof and everything else. By the way, energy's way down. And you're going to really be impressed when you hear what happened today with President Erdogan of Turkey. I think it's great for both countries. I think it's great. We have great relationships with a lot of countries. And you may be even more happy when you find out, because we spoke with Bibi Netanyahu today, and we spoke to all the leaders in the Middle East, who are great people, and we're getting pretty close to having a deal on Gaza, and maybe even peace, which would be the first time in about, 2,000 years, I think? In the region, I'd say the first in, Steve, what would you say, first in 2,000 years, or maybe 1,000? Huh?
2 millennium.
It's a long time. Yeah, go ahead.
Did Erdogan agree to stop buying Russian oil? Did he?
I don't want to say that, but if I want him to, he will, yeah.
But he didn't think that.
Well, I didn't say, okay, you stop, but I believe you. I believe he will stop it, yeah.
Did you make a deal?
You know why? Because he can buy from a lot of other people. He can buy from a lot of other people. You know who really can't is Hungary. Hungary's got, they're landlocked, and they don't have a nice ocean where ships can sail in from all over the world. They have one pipeline coming. Because I spoke with, he's a great guy, he's a great friend of mine, but that's a harder one for them. And Slovakia too. They're sort of married to one pipeline. So I just don't want to have people go blaming them when we spoke to them at length today, and it seems like that, for them it's a little, but that's Turkey has a lot of options. He's a great president, a very smart man, and he's going to take, he's going to do what's right. But we had a very good conversation having to do with the purchase of military equipment, etc. Any other
Would you
questions?
make a deal on F-35s, Mr. President?
I will be able to easily if I want. So we may do that, yeah.
But not yet.
Well, it depends. He's going to do something for us, yeah. Please.
Is the U.S. going to have sanctions on Turkey?
Can I ask you, we're a few days away.
By the way, here we go with this guy. Go ahead, let's go. Let's hear the question.
We're a few days away from the end of the fiscal year and a potential shutdown.
Right.
There's going to be a government shutdown?
Could be, yeah, because the Democrats are crazed. They don't know what they're doing. They want to have the border opened up so that criminals can pour in. We're doing unbelievable borders closed and people are coming into our country legally. They continue to want to have men and women sports. They continue to want to have transgender for everyone. They want to raise everybody's taxes at a number that's not sustainable. It's the only time in the world I've ever seen a party that wants to raise taxes. I grew up in a family where I'd watch politics, and I always liked it from the time I was very young, but I'd always see politicians say, we will lower your taxes. These guys, they campaign on raising your taxes, but they want to raise taxes very substantially.
The one thing they're concerned about, look, Republicans have total control of Washington. You guys have control of the House, the Senate, there's you.
Well, when you say control, so we need 60 votes for this, and we have 53 Republicans, so we need 7 Democrats.
And those 7 Democrats and others are asking for an extension of a tax credit on people who get the Affordable Care Act and some other government-backed health care. So are you willing to negotiate on
what
that
they're
issue?
really asking for is they want to pay for illegal aliens that have come into our country by the millions and get onto the rolls, and they want to pay. And our people don't want to do that. Our people are taxed enough. We just approved the largest tax decrease ever in the history of our country, including the extension of the previous Trump tax cuts. The tax cuts that we just approved, they want to use those tax cuts to give the money to illegal aliens, people that came into our country illegally and that are leaving the country.
So why not
there's been a self-deportation because of what we've been doing that's been incredible. Okay, yeah, please.
Secretary Hexer is inviting military leaders from all around the country on Tuesday. Will you also be there?
From all around the country to what?
To Virginia. He's inviting the generals and admirals to Virginia for a big meeting. They're not sure why.
Well, I know. I love it. I think it's great. Let them be friendly. Let them be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why is there something? No, but is there something wrong with it?
What is it about? Will you be there personally as well? And what is it about?
Well, I'll be there if they want me. But why is that such a big deal? The fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all. Remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along. It's good. You act like this is a bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
Is it a big story?
I don't think it is, sir.
I would think it's no, but isn't it a good story? We're respected from all over the world as a military force. I rebuilt the military during my first term, and even though we gave a chunk of it away to Afghanistan. But we're talking Afghanistan too, by the way, about Bagram and about that. But that's a very small amount compared to what we rebuilt it by. But I rebuilt the military, and we're very respected. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world without question. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We're selling the equipment to other countries. And a lot of generals want to be here and they want to look at they're also going to be touring equipment sites. They're going to be talking about the newest weapons, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's great when generals and top people want to come to the United States to be with our now called Secretary of War. Does everybody like the name? I do.
You said something really interesting this week about Ukraine, that you thought Ukraine could get back all the territory that Russia had taken.
Yeah, they have a shot at it because Russia.
What prompted you to change your thoughts on that?
Well, because I've been watching the way what Russia's been doing. I'm very dissatisfied with what Russia's doing and what President Putin is doing. I haven't liked it at all. He's killing people for no reason whatsoever. and they are doing very poorly considering they have put it all out on the line. Their economy is going to hell. They're bombing the hell out of everything, and they're picking up a very little territory, if any. In fact, they're losing some territory. So I think it's been very bad for the reputation of Russia. This war should have been over. If this were our war, we would have had it over in 1 week. And they're getting into fourth year, Jeff. They're getting into the fourth year now. 4 years of fighting, and you see what they've taken. In the last month, they've taken very little, and you've been reporting on all the bombing, all the drones all over the place, 900 drones coming into certain areas like Kiev in one night. And with all of that work, they've taken over very little. So now I'm very disappointed in President Putin. I thought I solved 7 wars. In fact, we have a great leader coming. We have the Prime Minister of Pakistan coming, and the Field Marshal, Pakistan. Field Marshal is a very great guy, and so is the Prime Minister, both. And they're coming, and they may be in this room right now. I don't know, because we're late. And I said maybe they'd like to join they actually may be somewhere in the beautiful Oval Office. Yeah, please, behind you.
On Gaza, did you promise leaders this week that you would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank? Is that something that you?
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay? Yeah, please.
Jasmine Crockett recently.
Jasmine Crockett. Remember what I said? Is she a relation to the late, great Davy Crockett? I don't think so. Jasmine Crockett, let me tell you, before you even ask, she's a very low IQ person. I mean, if we ever had to pass an aptitude test, that's the one should take one, because she shouldn't even be in the crowd. So I have no idea what you're going to, but I don't think we should waste our time. This is a low IQ person who I can't even believe is a congressperson, between her and Ilman Omar and the group. You know, I met the head of Somalia. Did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back, and he said, I don't want her. Okay, what else? Go ahead. You want? Let's hear what Crockett said. Go ahead.
He compared ICE raids to slave patrol. I want to ask you.
To slave?
To slave patrol. I want to ask you if you think that there should be consequences for members of Congress who make these types of comparisons or use this type of language.
Well, I think she's gone over the line, and I think a lot of the people. Look, the Democrats have become radical left lunatics. They have policies that nobody's going to buy. And, you know, I see what's going on in New York. We're going to have perhaps a communist mayor, because it's split up. You know, if the people would get together and have one candidate, they'd have, I think, a pretty good chance. But it looks like maybe they're not going to do that. But we're going to end up with a communist mayor. It's not even believable, my beautiful New York. When I left New York to become president, it was a great place. But it was the beginning of bad things, because we had de Blasio had just started as mayor, and I said, this guy's a real nut job. Went to Harvard to teach management. Can you believe it? He went to Harvard to teach city management, along with the mayor of Chicago, who went to Harvard to teach. The two of them are teaching how to manage a city manage it into hell, is what they do. But that was the beginning, and now we're going to go a step further. Now we're going with the communists. Can I be honest? I think it's the greatest thing to ever happen to the Republican Party. I really do. I think if a communist takes over New York City, I think that's a gift to the Republican Party. It's sad for New York, but it's a gift. And New York will recover, because, you know, sometimes you need a shock like that to straighten you out. But it's politically, it's probably a very good thing.
Mr. President, immigration, crime, and the World Cup, actually. So
that's a lot of questions.
You have a number of cities that are pushing back against your immigration deportation move, as well as your crime initiatives. Some of those cities,
I don't think they're very much pushing
some of those cities have World Cup games. Yeah. Seattle, San Francisco.
They're going to be very secure.
But could those games move if they don't cooperate with your crime?
Well, that's an interesting one, I guess. But we're going to make sure they're safe. They're run by radical left lunatics, and that don't know what they're doing. Look at Washington, D.C. I just got numbers. There's like no crime in Washington, D.C. You, Jeff, will not be mugged walking down the street. You can walk down the street with your family. You can walk down the street with your wife, your daughter, your son. and you're not going to be. We took out 1,700 career criminals that we're not allowing back, and we have this city in great shape. You know, there was a time when not long ago, when every single week you'd have at least one murder. And look what's happening with Washington. It's safe. I went to dinner in Washington just to prove a point. I gave a press conference in the middle of a street. I wouldn't say Secret Service was thrilled, but I did it, and here I am. Look, Washington, D.C. is such a great example of what can be done. We did it in 12 days. We made it very safe in 12 days, and now it's much safer than that. One other thing, I drove around Washington over the weekend, and I said, look at the difference. The grass looked great. Everything looked great. You know, we had a lot of our National Guard, and we didn't ask them to do it. They did it themselves. They're proud. They're great. And they were picking up paper. They were cleaning. The place looked really beautiful. So we have a great Washington, D.C. We, as you probably know, we're going into Memphis, and we're going into some other cities, and very soon we're going to go into Chicago. It will be safe for the World Cup. If I think it isn't safe, we'll move it into a different city. Absolutely, we'll take the world. If I think it's not, it's actually a very fair question. If I think it's not safe, we're going to move it out of that city. If, like the governor of Illinois, who is, you know, look, last week. Between last week and the week before, 11 murders, and 38 people were shot. Then he gets up and he says, this is a very safe, and then he says crime is better. The reason crime is better is because Cash put, about 5 months ago, a whole team of FBI people there to get ready for when we go in, and they've lowered it a little bit, you know, like 20-25%, which isn't good enough, but it's a good start. But that was only put there because they're preparing for us to go in. And they've done, by the way, they've done a good job. So then Pritzker gets up, we've lowered crime 25. It's because the FBI was there. So, no, if any city we think is going to be even a little bit dangerous for the World Cup or for the Olympics, you know, where they have Olympic overthrow, right? But for the World Cup in particular, because they're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it to go to, we'll move it around a little bit. But I hope that's not going to happen, yeah.
Mr. President, Director Patel this morning indicated that the shooter in Dallas had been using an app to track ICE. Does your administration have any plans to take down those apps or get them removed? Or any
well, I can't tell you about that, but it tells you when they want to wear masks or they want to hide a little bit, why that's so important. But these are great patriots, the ICE, and what a tough job they have. What an unbelievably tough job they have. And think of it, what are they doing? They're taking hardcore criminals out of our country and putting them back. These were largely criminals that were given to us by Joe Biden and his group of radical maniacs that surrounded this desk, just like these people surround the desk now, but they're not maniacs, they're very solid people.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad I prefaced. But they're great. We have a great cabinet. We have great people. And he didn't have great people. He had terrible people. Look at Afghanistan. Look at the people he had running our military. That could happen. The most embarrassing day in the history of our country was Afghanistan. And 13 young people died. They don't ever talk about the 38 that were horribly wounded with legs and arms and everything else, really horribly wounded. So the country's respected like it's probably almost never been respected before. I think we're respected at a level, and a year ago it was a dead country. We had a dead country a year ago. This country was dying. It was really in bad shape. Let's talk about the next subject, can we?
One of the most powerful deterrents we have to violent crime is the death penalty. As you said, your administration has taken bold, decisive steps to ensure that Washington, D.C. is once again a safe and secure city for its residents and all who visit. This is a presidential memorandum that directs your Attorney General and your U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Judge Jeanine Pirro, to fully implement the death penalty here in Washington, D.C., where the evidence and facts of a case indicate that the death penalty should be used.
Okay. Everybody understand? Death penalty in Washington. You kill somebody, or if you kill a police officer, law enforcement officer, death penalty. And hopefully there won't be that. So again, it's way down. I mean, we have had week after week after week where We haven't had a murder. I said that the other day in front of the president of Poland. The press was here, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce that Washington, D.C. has not had a death in 4 weeks, a murder. And he looked at me and goes, is that good or bad? You know, he's saying, what kind of a place is this? But it's true for years. I mean, every week, essentially, somebody got killed or more than one. And this is a very safe city right now. We don't play games. And, you know, it's interesting. We took these careers out, career criminals. They call them careers. They left the word criminal out. But we took the careers out of here. And they're now brought back to their homes, or they're in jail, or they're in a jail in another country. And hopefully they're not coming back. And we have to maintain it. You can't just leave, and we have to maintain it. We've gotten along fairly well with the mayor. You know, she's getting a party that hates that the city's becoming safe. I mean, they're actually criticizing her because the city's becoming safe. But this is becoming this is right now a very, very safe city. This went from the most unsafe city in the country to the safest city in the country. There's no city any safer. That's a pretty big achievement. And we really did it in 12 days. But if you add an extra week to it, that'd be nice. And, I mean, you can go out to dinner. Restaurants are booming. You know, the restaurants were dead. They were dead. Even if you got to the restaurant, then somebody would come in and hold you up. You know, they'd hold up the whole restaurant. They go to Uber. Young ladies in the White House, they'd call Uber for protection. They'd run to the car because they were petrified to be from the entrance of their building to the car. Now they feel safe. They're in the car, and then the car gets hijacked while they're in the back of the car. This is what we were living in. We were living in hell. People that work in the White House, every time they see me, young women in particular, say, thank you, sir. And I don't even ask them about what. I know exactly. I made their lives. Now they're living in a beautiful, glamorous place called Washington, D.C. with no crime, and that's the way it should be. Okay? This is the death penalty for somebody that kills people in Washington, D.C. I think it's capital. It's a very interesting capital punishment, capital city. Right? It's capital. But this is our capital city. We can't allow that to happen. People come in from Iowa to look at the Lincoln Memorial and they end up getting killed. It doesn't happen anymore. It's not going to happen. And if it does happen, it's the death penalty for the person that did it. And this goes into effect.
Yes, sir.
Right? Pam, is that right? Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. Not only are we seeking it in Washington, D.C., but all over the country again. And as you saw very recently, we are now moving the inmates who were on death row, who Joe Biden or the auto pen commuted their sentences off of death row. We're moving them to supermax facilities where they will be treated like they're on death row for the rest of their lives, President Trump.
Okay, that's a big statement. Thank you very much. Okay. I see some of you shaking your heads very positively. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, fellas.
You said on the campaign trail that
I said it.
Yeah. The death penalty is anybody, an illegal killed a U.S. citizen
That's
or a
right.
police officer. So this just reinforces your campaign promise.
That's right. And most people really like it. And Washington, again, it's going to serve as a beacon because you have to do it. These are bad people. When you look at that guy, the guy that killed the young lady in the train in North Carolina, that he'll be in trial for years and years, years. He'll get a good lawyer. Somewhere along the line, somebody will come along, and what he did to that young lady, and she went into that train scared. You know, when she went in, the way she sat down, she was scared to just be there. She just wanted to not pay any attention to anybody, just not be noticed. And she had her throat slit. We don't want that in this country anymore. We're not going to have it in this country anymore. Thank you very much. Next.
Lastly, sir, this is a presidential memorandum on countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. In recent weeks, months, and years, we've seen a tremendous upsurge in some highly visible but also other acts of domestic terrorism and organized political violence being perpetrated by radical, politically motivated groups all over the country. What this presidential memorandum will do is set off an administration-wide response to that, ranging from the Joint Terrorism Task Forces to other components of the Department of Justice, to the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Treasury. We're looking at interdicting these groups, preventing them from performing acts of violence, and also looking at sources of organization and funding and support that prop them up and allow them to do the acts that they have been doing.
We're looking at the funders of a lot of these groups, and you know, when you see the signs, and they're all beautiful signs made professionally, these aren't your protesters that make the sign in their basement late in the evening because they really believe it. These are anarchists and agitators, professional anarchists and agitators, and they get hired by wealthy people, some of whom I know, I guess, you know, probably know them. And you wouldn't know it. You're at dinner with them, everything's nice, and then you find out that they funded millions of dollars to these lunatics. Steve, could you say a couple of words?
Yes, Mr. President. This is a very historic and significant day. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa, to dismantle the organizations that have been carrying out these acts of political violence and terrorism. What we have seen, if you look at whether it be going back to the riots that started with Black Lives Matter and all the way through to the Antifa riots, the attacks on ICE officers, the doxing campaigns, and now the political assassinations, these are not lone, isolated events. This is part of an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. It is structured, it is sophisticated, it is well funded, it is well planned. There is really no parallel like this to anything else in the country right now. There is an entire system of feeder organizations that provide money, resources, weapons, and when they're attacking ICE officers, they're attacking federal buildings, or they're isolating public officials for harassment, doxing, intimidation, and ultimately attempted assassination. It is all carefully planned, executed, and thought through. It is terrorism on our soil. Because of this executive order, Cash and Pam are going to have the tools they need, working with Scott, to take these organizations apart piece by piece. And the central hub of that effort is going to be the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF, which sits inside the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But for those at home who are worried about terrorism in this country, they need to understand, because of President Trump's strength, because of his vision, because of his leadership, we are now going to use the entire force of the federal government to uproot these organizations root and branch. And again, that's only possible because of President Trump and his leadership.
Thank you. Steve Cash, please.
Yes, as Steve was saying, Mr. President, thanks to your leadership, crime is going downward in a tremendous fashion, and that's what we want for every city in America. And the FBI's premier flagship enterprise, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, are honored to lead this initiative with our partners at Treasury and Homeland Security, because our citizens are being attacked by, as Stephen said, organized violence, and it's being paid for, not by them, by other people. So what we are going to do, combining forces as Scott and I have done in these last few months, is follow the money. People and organizations have collected funds and put them out into the streets of America and organized violence across our country. And thanks to your recognition of this and this executive order and the AG's leadership to lead out and prosecute these individuals, we are properly going to chase them down like the domestic terrorists that they are, and our streets and our communities are going to be safer because the JTTF and the FBI and Treasury and DHS and DOJ are going to combine forces like never before to root out this new evil that is perpetrating our criminal activities across our societies. And we are just so thankful for your leadership and recognition of it. It's not easy to do.
Good job. Thank you very much,
Who
Pam.
specifically do you want to target?
What?
Besides Antifa, is there a specific group or person you're targeting with this?
Any organized group. Any organized group who are committing these crimes, and we're working with the Secretary of Treasury. You know what law enforcement has told us under President Trump's leadership? He's taken the handcuffs off law enforcement. They can do their jobs now, thanks to you, President Trump, and that's what's happening. And all of these agencies that Cash mentioned, we work hand in hand together. Our prosecutors were following the money with Treasury. We're working with Homeland Security. Cash's agents, all of our agents, DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, combined are working, and with state and local government, to take these people off the streets who are jeopardizing lives.
Can I just illustrate this? So I was talking with Cash and Stephen about this a couple of days ago, sir. So I believe it was in Oregon where you had a federal building where there were men in black ski masks who are committing acts of violence, who are shutting down a government building. To the president's point, they don't come from nowhere. These are paid people. This is organized. They're committing acts of political terrorism on American soil. And it's time we had a government that looked out for the American people rather than the people who are committing violence against the American people.
When you go out to Portland and you see what's happening in Portland, this is like nobody's ever seen anything like it. Every night, and this has gone on for years. They just burn the place down, and you know the shop owners, most of them have left, but the few shops that are open, they just use plywood and just like 3/4 inch plywood. They don't put storefronts because they know it's going to be burned down. These are professional agitators.
Right.
These are bad people, and they're paid a lot of money by rich people, some of whom we know. I'm sure I know some. I don't. If I knew, I wouldn't associate because I'll be in trouble because Pam will say, "Why are you associating with this person?" But I will tell you that these are bad people, and they're paying a lot of money, millions of dollars. But take a look at Portland sometime. These are wild. These are crazy people, and they're trying to burn down buildings, including federal buildings. And on my list of things that I want to do before we finish up with the cities, because I think we're going to whip the cities back into shape, but we have to. We cannot let our cities, and that's a small example, but it's the most violent example. It's every night, and they've done it for years. You think maybe at some point they made their point, and what are they doing? But we're going to get out there, and we're going to do a pretty big number of those people in Portland that are doing that. They're professional agitators and anarchists. They're actually anarchists, yeah. Go ahead, why don't you defend? Let's see you defend them, Jeff.
No, I'm not defending anyone. I just want, so that we can just explain this in our stories, could you name a couple?
You don't explain it right, though, Jeff. Go ahead, let's go. Maybe let's give you another chance. Go ahead.
Antifa, Soros, what names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear. I hear a lot of different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. Maybe I hear about a guy named Reid Hoffman. Somebody's a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know. Maybe could be him. Could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're going to find out. And if they are funding these things, they're going to have some problems because they're agitators and they're anarchists. These are anarchists. Really bad. Okay, yeah, please.
Can you, Mr. President, can you comment on...
Who you with? Who you with?
I'm with the Center Square. Sarah Rodriguez is my name. Sarah. There's also, as you know, Antifa is not just a domestic terror, or now a domestic terror organization. It's also international. I know the Netherlands is looking at also designating them a terror organization.
Right.
Have you been working with your intel community and your DNI to possibly expand that to making them designated an international terror organization?
Yeah, we have been. Yep. It's an international. In many cases, it is international.
Mr. On Antifa, if someone takes to the streets of America and says they're Antifa, what happens to them? What will happen to them?
Well, I'd say the maximum under the law, and we'll see. Now, if they kill somebody, we just signed a death penalty, so it depends where it is. But if they kill somebody, which they do, I mean, people are dying. You go out to Portland, people die out there. Many people have died over the years in Portland. Portland is, I don't know how anybody lives there. It's amazing. But it's anarchy out there, and that's what they want. They want anarchy, like when they attacked Seattle and took over a big...
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for staying, and thank you for your comments. And what is Antifa? It doesn't matter what Antifa stands for, okay? You got to know what Antifa does. Unless you don't know, you're not from here. So you don't know what's Antifa, what they done, what do they do, their action. The name doesn't matter, just like Democrats. They're Democratic Party doesn't do any democracy, okay? So the name doesn't matter. This is propaganda. You can say that, whatever. Super chat, so make me a propaganda too. So really, I don't care, because you guys are dumb fuck, okay? Dumb fuck fake account, okay? Whole bunch of dumb fuck with fake account, trolls, okay? I don't give a fuck. But we did have some meaningful conversation. And if you just got here, probably you have to go back all the way from the beginning. And watch this. This is fun. You know? Okay. Okay, and I did. Oh, wow, 8647. Huh? Okay. You're a friend of James Comey, huh? Maybe you will join him. Okay. Okay, and yeah, because since I almost like almost 3 hours, 2 hour and 45 minutes. Appreciate all your comment and thank you for all your subscribe. I will try, try my best. I suppose have another video about Charlie Kirk, and I will try to put together a longer one for people to need LA. I just want to say, how do we know this guy ain't getting paid? Oh, okay. Follow my account. Follow my money, okay? We only watch, we watch more than Fox. We watch Newsmax too. Well, I wish I will get paid one day, but I don't think I'm doing much of really good job yet, because because I trust audience, okay? I don't trust Google, I don't trust YouTube, because YouTube usually will shadow ban my account, but I still trust the people. If I can present all the facts or some dialogue, and we can have intellectual dialogue. We learn something. We try, just like Lee told me about the farmer situation. And I won't have all the time. I don't have the time. I have a regular job. This is my side work. I hope this side work will become one day my regular job. So this is in the process. And I'm still learning how to be a YouTube creator, which is very hard, harder than I thought. And every day I want to create, but just like because Charlie Kirk, President Trump, or the mega team, I see them how they so strong, and also how the California how bad the California turned into, and I want my kid to have a good place for their future too. So not getting paid. Yeah, really bad entertainment, but appreciate you stick around for a whole hour. I appreciate it. I know it's hard to be funny, WAP it's very funny, and we really do have a lot of funny comedian in talk about politics. I hope more will become. The South? Oh, I don't know. Kelly is better. Oh yeah? No, I think the South is better. I don't know. I don't travel. Just here watch the video from all over different place. I plan to travel to DC, but not. I guess that plan has to postpone because not enough super chat to cover the plane and hotel. Oh, Marin County. Oh, that's north of San Francisco. Oh, that's conservative. Oh, that's nice area. See, anywhere is conservative Californians, they have nice neighborhood. It's the fact, okay? Even the BLM president should move to conservative neighborhood, okay? It's a fact. Go fact check, okay? Lila, go fact check, okay? All those conservative neighborhood are nice neighborhood. Okay, I guess I have to say good night. Appreciate all. Why you there? Wow, such a long name, huh? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Boycott this channel. Lila, thank you for stick around for so long. And now you can go ahead, boycott the channel. Boycott this channel. I know you are the entertainment, okay? I don't need to be funny. If you are not here, I have nothing to laugh about. No need. Yeah, I don't have much viewer. I'm just a small channel. So I don't mind. Take time. It takes time. And I appreciate all your subscribe. See, that's what happened to the TDS. They cannot handle. I don't know what's the problem. She stick around. I don't know if she or he or maybe you should tell me your pronoun. Otherwise, you will get offended. Tell me your pronoun. So you will get offended. Yeah. So. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. You stick around for so long. I thought you enjoying my channel. Well, it's okay. I'm small channel anyway. I'm just doing my best. And the TDS, they don't like to hear something. Well, it's free country. You can just move on. You don't like my channel, just scroll away and but you stick around for so long. I thought you enjoyed my style, the way I present, just keep going, rolling the video while answering comment and many audience, they like to talk to each other. So I thought you like this style. Every channel is different. Every channel is different. I do go watch other mega channel too. I enjoy their channel too. So good. Very good. I'm not trying to destroy. People are trying to. Yeah, the Democrats are destroying our country. That's right. I'm so mad. Look at the past 4 years. Look at what Biden did to our country. Okay, we don't forget that. Look at how CCP, how the COVID destroy our country, how the China virus destroy our country, and how the Democrats backstab the President Trump. Lot of thing. Yeah, but go fact check. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. 3 hours. Beat my record. Okay. Thank you very much. This longest live stream I ever did. Thank you very much. Well, I see you next time. If I see you next time, bye bye.